While I was abroad for further studies, my fiancé fell in love with an ordinary girl. Later, the girl took money from his family and left, only to die in a car accident overseas. He apologized to me, we got married, and he spoiled me as the happiest wife, until 7 years later, when he became a top dog in the Beijing social scene. He destroyed my family and had me, perfectly sane, committed to a mental institution where I suffered unspeakable torment. Just before I ended my life, I heard him say, "Lin Xian, this is what your Lin family owes me," and Ting Ting. Only then did I realize he blamed me for Zhong Ting's death. From the moment he agreed to marry me, he began plotting his revenge against me and my family. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on that day. He said to me, "Lin Xian, I've fallen in love with someone else." 1. The gala dinner on the cruise ship was held by my friends and family to welcome me home from abroad, but when I saw my fiancé kissing another woman, I was so furious that I dragged him and jumped into the sea with him. I wanted to see who he would choose. The outcome was painfully obvious. The one who pulled me out of the water was my childhood friend, Li Jiechen. Meanwhile, my fiancé Lu Yan went to rescue his beloved, Zhong Ting. At that moment, I coughed up seawater in distress, and when I opened my eyes, I saw the concern on everyone's faces. Li Jiechen, his hair completely soaked and his eyes filled with terror, stared intently at me. His hand still pressed against my chest. His handsome face was now deathly pale, devoid of any color. "She's awake." The people around her breathed a collective sigh of relief, murmuring with quiet gratitude. I stared blankly at Li Jiaqing. Only then did I realize I had been reborn. In my past life, it was also Li Jiaqing who saved me, yet I wasn't very grateful to him. I even blamed him for meddling, convinced that Lu Yan would have saved me first otherwise. This infuriated Li Jiaqing so much that he turned and left on the spot. Later, he even ran a high fever for several days. This time, I reached up, wrapped my arms around his neck, kissed his lips, and whispered, "Li Jiechen, I'll take responsibility for you." 2. After changing in my room, I opened the door to find Lu Yan looking at me with a hesitant, unspoken question on his face. Our families arranged our marriage when we were children, and he and I grew up together. Lu Yan also had striking good looks and a driven personality, making him a highly regarded young gentleman in the Beijing social scene. However, at this point, he was still light years away from being a true heavyweight in those circles. I cleared my throat, snapping back to the present. I just wanted to give myself a good, hard slap, jumping into the sea just to see who he cares about. What a brainless, idiotic thing to do. "You must be out of your mind, Shanxian, I'm sorry." Lu Yan apologized guiltily. "Are you okay? Does not being dead count as okay?" I gave a cold, mirthless laugh, yet my voice remained calm and detached as I countered, "Lu Yan, why are you apologizing? Out of guilt, or something else?" My question clearly made him uncomfortable, yet, as if steeling himself with immense resolve, his hand at his side clenched a little tighter, his refined, handsome face set in an expression of unwavering determination. "Lin Xian, I've fallen in love with someone else." 3. A heavy silence fell upon the corridor. Lu Yan's words hit like a sledgehammer, but fortunately, this time, they left me completely unfazed. I let out a soft, scoffing breath and raised a hand to my forehead. In my past life, when he said that, I threw a fit, crying and screaming, and ended up slapping Zhong Ting. But even then, I stubbornly refused to call off the engagement. This only made things escalate further, until the Lu family had to step in and guarantee the marriage alliance would stand. Later, the story ended with Zhong Ting taking the Lu family's money to go abroad, her unexpected death, and our subsequent marriage. He apologized to me, admitted his mistakes, and after we married, he spoiled me until I became the envy of everyone, until he truly became the undisputed kingpin of the Beijing circle, answerable to no one. In a sudden turn, he betrayed and destroyed my entire family. My family went bankrupt, my father jumped to his death, my mother lost her mind. My eldest brother was imprisoned, and my second brother was left permanently disabled, and I was the one he had falsely committed to a mental institution, where I was tormented until I took my own life. He said to me, "From the moment I agreed to this marriage, I've been waiting for this day. Lin Xian, this is what you owe me and Ting Ting." Only then did I learn that Zhong Ting was 3 months pregnant when she died. "I'm sorry." Lu Yan apologized sincerely. "But we'll handle this matter between ourselves. It has nothing to do with Zhong Ting." I pressed my fingers against my throbbing temples and gave a quiet He lowered his hand and asked calmly, "So, how do you want to handle this? Let's call off the engagement." Their families were old friends with existing business ties. The engagement was initially arranged to solidify a massive joint venture, which required the stronger bond of marriage, right after our engagement. I went abroad for further studies. 2 years later, I returned only to find that Lu Yan had fallen for an ordinary girl during my absence. Name your terms, he added. He was convinced I wouldn't agree easily, not with how deeply I loved him. In my past life, I was unwilling, but this time, fine, call off the engagement, on one condition: your Lu family withdraws from the new partnership with the Lin family. The Lu family still wants to elevate Lu Yan's status further. My family originally had the same intention. That's no longer necessary. This time, I've decided to face this level on my own. I agreed to his proposal without hesitation, and the condition I added didn't seem out of place. He was taken aback for a moment. Xian. I couldn't tell if his reaction was surprise at my decisiveness or shock at my apparent coldness. I have no interest in knowing. Lu Yan's rise to power in the Beijing circle began with the gears of fate turning through his partnership with my family. I'd like to see what he can do when I set things right from the very root. All right. In the end, he agreed, yet, my gaze shifted to Li Jiechen, who had appeared behind him. He had already changed into a fresh set of clothes, dressed in a tailored suit with neatly cropped hair. His strikingly handsome face held a seriousness that tempered his usual carefree, playboy demeanor. Our eyes met, and his stern expression melted away. A faint, roguish smile played on his thin lips. Lin Xian, just how do you plan to take responsibility for me? For, what if we got married? I gave Li Jiechen a faint, knowing smile right in front of Lu Yan. Li Jiechen is the second son of the Li family. We grew up together, and he was always the one I picked on. In my past life, Lu Yan had me committed to a psychiatric hospital for no reason at all. By the time he finally managed to see me, I was already unwell from being forcibly medicated. All I remember is clutching his hand desperately, pleading, I'm not crazy, Jiechen, get me out of here. He agreed. Okay, Lin Xian, wait for me. I never did get to see him again, because my only family, my husband, Lu Yan, found out and forbade anyone from seeing me, until I took my own life in utter despair. An arranged marriage, sure, Li Jiechen agreed without hesitation. Lu Yanchen, standing to the side, had a face like thunder. Lin Xian, have you lost your mind? I merely shot him a cool, sidelong glance. So when Mr. Lu and Miss Zhong are together, it's an unbreakable bond, but when I'm with Jiechen, I must be insane. Li Jiechen stepped forward and affectionately pressed his fingers against my temples, his touch gentle and just right. He whispered in my ear, is the pressure okay? How did he know I had a headache? Before I could think any further, his gaze shifted to Lu Yan as he responded sarcastically to the previous remark. The Li family isn't exactly inferior to the Lu family, is it? And I'm better looking than young Master Lu. How is Xian marrying me considered crazy? Or is it that, upon realizing how sought after Xian is, young Master Lu now feels he was a fool to choose an ordinary woman and is regretting having let a pearl like her slip through his fingers? Lu Yan. Zhong Ting approached us with flushed cheeks, her innocent face looking at me with a proud, stubborn defiance. Miss Lin, my family background may not compare to yours, but in other respects, you're not better than me in any other way, either. I calmly took up her words. Cut someone off so thoroughly they have nothing left to say. I straightened up slightly, shallowly showcasing my 34C figure while casting a sidelong glance at her flat chest. Her face flushed an even deeper shade of red. As for looks, I'm the bold and glamorous type. Outshining her little girl next door innocence is a piece of cake. And education, don't even get me started. I did my bachelor's and master's at Ivy League schools, and with these extra 2 years of advanced study, I'm light years ahead of her and her barely their 211 university degree. Zhong Ting fainted. Lu Yan caught her, sweeping her up into his arms, his gaze burning with intensity. Lin Xian, you've gone too far, too far. You think this is too far? I shrugged my hands. 5. The engagement with the Lu family was successfully called off. I heard Lu Yan had to stand up to his entire family, refusing to back down until they agreed to break off the engagement. As the most promising heir of the Lu family, he certainly had the clout to make such a demand. What a pity. He's had it too easy. He probably forgot the Lu family has more than one son. Losing me as a fiancé is one thing, but the family won't accept an heir who's that selfish. Even though he broke off our engagement, the Lu family never agreed to let him marry Zhong Ting. Our family has switched our partnership from the Lu family directly to the Li family. It will be overseen by Li Jiechen. Following Lu Yan's presumptuous behavior, the Lu family has begun promoting their second son, breaking the tradition of primogeniture, Within 3 months, Lu Yan's fall from grace became visibly apparent, yet, he still considered himself the family's indispensable heir. He even brought Zhong Ting along to every social event he attended. 6. In the banquet hall, I held Li Jiechen's arm, a faint smile on my lips, listening as he discussed the plans for the latest project with others. Praise from the elders reached my ears. Xian really is Jiechen's lucky star. That boy always claimed he had no interest in business, but look how well he's done these past 3 months. I smiled without saying a word. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught sight of Lu Yan, with Zhongting on his arm, working the room. Seems like the crown prince of the Shanghai circle just gave me the cold shoulder. I raised my champagne glass slightly, took a small sip, and suppressed the cold sneer in my heart. Lu Yan, do you still naively believe you succeeded all on your own? Clang. The gentle clink of the glass snapped me out of my thoughts. At the same time, I felt Li Jiechen's subtle pinch at my waist. He shot a sidelong glance in Lu Yan's direction, his tone laced with sarcasm. Having second thoughts, a faint smile touched the corner of my mouth. Do you really think I would? Li Jiechen's eldest brother has been diagnosed with a rare disease and has gone abroad for treatment. Li Jiechen has secured several major projects in a row. And his momentum is only growing stronger. As one rises, the other falls, and Lu Yan is the one on the decline. The second son of the Lu family is representing the family at formal occasions with increasing frequency. Li Jiechen took a sip of red wine and smiled. Watching all those people who used to flatter Lu Yan now giving him the cold shoulder put me in an excellent mood. 8. In this life, without my interference, Lu Yan and Zhong Ting are utterly, madly in love. Word got out that she had edited the video of the Lu family trying to pay her off and sent it to Lu Yan, which infuriated him and caused another falling out with his family. This time, he went straight for the household register and, defying his family's opposition, registered his marriage with Zhong Ting. The Lu family outright threatened to strip him of his heir status if he didn't get a divorce. Lu Yan took action to defend his decision by moving into his 500 square meter luxury penthouse. 2 weeks later, at the press conference announcing the signing of a major project, the Lu family's second son was publicly named as the heir. Meanwhile, Lu Yan was stripped of his status as heir. Even without his position as the Lu family heir, Lu Yan still considered himself highly capable, given his substantial personal wealth. However, the Lu family increasingly focused their efforts on grooming the second son. He realized that while his second son wasn't as adept in business as the eldest, he was still quite capable. Most importantly, he was obedient. By the time Lu Yan realized the family didn't truly depend on him, it was already a bit too late, so, he came to find me. 9. I was sitting at an outdoor cafe, waiting for Li Jiechen as we had arranged. Lu Yan hurriedly stepped out of his car. The slanting afternoon sun fell on him, and the once high-spirited young master of the Lu family now seemed a bit anxious. I looked at him calmly from behind my sunglasses. Is there something you need, Mr. Lu? So it's you, isn't it? His tone was hostile, laced with a familiar, oppressive force. I was caught off guard for a moment. This was a demeanor he'd only developed after rising to the top of the capital's elite circles. As if to give me a definitive answer, he stepped forward, brusquely snatched the sunglasses from my face, and forced me to meet his gaze. Dazzled by the slanting rays of the setting sun, I stared fixedly at Lu Yan before me. One thing was absolutely certain, he had been reborn. 2. I coolly reached out and took the sunglasses back from his hand, putting them on with an air of elegance before remarking in a chilly tone, "Didn't you say that not being able to be with Zhong Ting was your greatest regret? So, do you still regret it this time? He married her, so he shouldn't have any regrets now, right?" Lu Yan pressed his lips together and remained silent. Lu Yan, I'm not forcing the issue this time. I took a sip of my coffee, my tone detached. I'm rather curious to see how this choice of yours turns out. Setting the cup down, I tilted my head back slightly. Golden ginkgo leaves, swept down by the autumn wind, fell and sliced through the quiet between him and me. I can become a big shot in the Beijing circle too. He is brimming with confidence. Well, he's always believed that his rise to prominence in the Beijing circle was entirely due to his own abilities. He never once acknowledged that his remarkable success was only possible because of my family serving as a stepping stone, the full support of the Lu family, and his own decent abilities. All three were indispensable. Lin Xian, even if you interfere, it won't change a thing. I laughed. Lu Yan, I simply changed my family's business partner. How exactly is that interfering with you? There's no shortage of capable people, but at best, they'll only ever become high-level employees. The true foundation you can rely on is the legacy of your family. I wonder if Lu Yan will ultimately believe my conclusion. Xianxian, Li Jiechen approached, a single rose in hand. He handed me the flower as if it were the most natural thing, then shot a glance at Lu Yan. Mr. Lu, are you here to deliver an invitation? I raised an eyebrow slightly in confusion. You didn't know, Xianxian, I heard Mr. Lu is hosting a wedding banquet. Even with the news of Miss Zhong's pregnancy, the Lu family still refused to acknowledge the marriage. Li Jiechen sat down beside me, gripping my wrist, his tone deliberately provocative enough to infuriate Lu Yan. My Xianxian is different. My parents keep asking when we're going to get engaged. Lu Yan's face darkened, and he left. 10. I breathed in the scent of the rose and looked up at Li Jiechen, his face warm with a smile. Sunlight fell on his meticulously groomed hair, as if gilding it, casting a halo-like glow around his entire person. Having grown up together, I knew exactly the kind of man he was. Ambition was never a word in his vocabulary, but now he's full of drive. He's also being incredibly attentive. What's wrong? He raised an eyebrow slightly, but the tenderness in his eyes was unmistakable. Something's off. Could it be that he's also been reborn? Averting my gaze, I set the rose down, took a light sip of coffee, and murmured, I plan to take over the project the Lu family is bidding on. Sure thing. How much funding do you need? Li Jiechen replied with calm composure. The funds my family can currently mobilize are. Li Jiechen, I cut him off. My gaze held a trace of serious, probing scrutiny. I'm talking about me intercepting it. The one who stands to make the lion's share will be me. I know. But your personal funds definitely won't be enough. And your family might not be willing to back you fully, so I'll cover the shortfall. We're not even engaged yet, and even in an arranged marriage, couples don't go that far. In my past life, not long after I entered the business world, I married Lu Yan, stepped back with peace of mind, and became a lady of leisure. When it came to the family business, any collaborative ventures were entirely under Lu Yan's management. Lu Yan put on a convincing act. He's genuinely capable. Which is how he managed to fool everyone. Lately, I've been blocking quite a few deals that should have been his, replacing him with Li Jiechen. But I don't want to just swap one person for another in these partnerships. Who's to say Li Jiechen won't just turn into another Lu Yan? His composure now only makes me seem petty and calculating. No sensible person would throw money around like that. He used to be a bit of a playboy, but he was never a fool, unless, aren't you afraid I'll just use you? I gazed into his eyes. His smiling, dark irises reflected my searching face. He took my hand, gently kissed the back of it, his eyelashes fluttering, his voice thick with apology. I was in an accident on my way to pick you up. I was in a coma for months. When I finally woke up, you were gone. My heart seized with a sharp, shuddering pain at this sudden, devastating news. 11. He was reborn too. The car accident was caused by Lu Yan. A damp sensation spread across the back of his hand. 2 scalding teardrops fell in quick succession, instantly blooming where they landed. My lips trembled, but not a single word could escape them. All that remained in my ears was his explanation, heavy with regret. Lu Yan knew I went to see you. He knew what I intended to do, so he deliberately staged an accident. Li, you fool. The moment he didn't save you when you fell into the sea. You should have known this man doesn't care for you. He began to cry. I tried to think of something to say to ease the tension, but he just lifted his reddened eyes and pulled me fiercely into his embrace. You promised you'd take responsibility for me. Me, 12. All I could do was responsibly move the engagement date forward. Coincidentally, Lu Yan and Zhong Ting's wedding was also on this very day. I swear, I really didn't plan our engagement to be on the same day as their wedding on purpose. The date was booked by Li Jiaqing, under my intense glare. He dodged the subject nervously. Xianxian, you look absolutely stunning. With that crown on, you are my queen. Our reflections shimmered in the mirror, the jewels dazzlingly brilliant, almost blinding to behold. The Li family's sincerity for this engagement ceremony was beyond question. The crown, earrings, and necklace I wore, worth several hundred million in total, were all provided by the Li family. It was as if they couldn't wait to proclaim to the world their immense pride in our betrothal. Li Jiaqing took my hand and kissed it with reverence, kneeling on one knee like a queen's knight. I pledge my lifelong devotion to you. Me, I was just asking if he picked this date on purpose. Was all that really necessary? Li Jiaqing. I swallowed hard, pulling my hand back, feeling a bit awkward. You, don't do that. Do what? His eyes held a hint of pitiful grievance. I'm yours now. You know, me. Just then, both sets of parents knocked and walked right in. Catching sight of Li Jiaqing down on one knee, all eyes immediately swiveled to focus on the two of us. My face flushed crimson for no reason. and I felt like I couldn't clear my name even if I jumped into the Yellow River. But everyone was delighted to see us so deeply in love, finally. They left with cheerful reminders, chuckling, "You two should get ready soon, most of the guests have already arrived." Li Jiechen's expression turned serious as he finally began to explain, "I did choose this day on purpose, but if we're talking about ill intent, I'm nothing compared to the Lu family. Did you know? Today is also the day Lu Yan's younger brother is getting married." I gasped. "That soon, so. Will the Lu family relatives be attending Lu Yan's wedding?" 13. Seeing the sparse attendance at the banquet, Lu Yan's face darkened like ink. In her wedding dress, Zhong Ting seethed with resentment, yet she feigned magnanimity and tenderness, lowering her gaze to apologize. "I'm sorry, Lu Yan. It's all my fault for not winning the Lu family's favor. The Lu family is openly trying to humiliate him. Is this a silent reminder that without the family's protection, individual talent is utterly useless? How could they treat Lu Yan like this?" Lu Yan took her hand, drew her into his embrace, and gazed at the dazzling crystal chandelier ahead with eyes as cold as ice. "Whether they like it or not doesn't matter, as long as I do. He's destined to be a big shot in the capital's elite circles. He was in his past life, and he will be in this one too. They'll all regret it when the time comes." 14. After the engagement, my ties with the Li family grew even stronger. Between my lobbying, Li Jiechen's support, and the string of successful proposals I'd made since my rebirth, my father and brother finally agreed to let me intercept the Lu family's bid. I only had one shot, and I sure as hell wasn't going to let it slip away. The moment my bid came in far higher than in my previous life, victory was assured. Lu Yan shot me a sharp, piercing glare, his anger impossible to conceal. I responded with a faint, knowing curl of my lips. Of course, he also knew the bidding price from our past life, but right now, he had very little capital at his disposal. After all, the Lu family was on the verge of truly cutting him loose. Lu Yan cornered me at the exit as I was leaving the venue. "Married life doesn't seem to be treating him well. He looks a bit haggard. Has he been pulling too many all-nighters?" "Lin Xian, what are you trying to say?" People came and went, casting sidelong glances my way. I crossed my arms and said, "A fair and open bid, of course. You never had any ambition to enter the business world before. So, the commercial success that should have been mine ended up in your pocket." Is he still unwilling to admit it, even now? How much did he have to leech off me to become a big shot in the capital's inner circle in his last life? And after taking everything from me, he actually went and destroyed my family. "You have no clue how to run a business," he said with contempt. "You don't need to worry about that. I am, after all, an Ivy League graduate, and besides." My gaze fell on Li Jiechen, who pushed open the car door and strode quickly towards us, a slight smile playing at the corner of my mouth. "My fiancé is also very supportive." 15. Li Jiechen came right up and kissed my forehead. "Congratulations, my dear. We're only engaged, not married. Where did this wife come from?" But I still offered a sweet, knowing smile and said deliberately, "Thank you too, Jiechen. Without your financial backing, I wouldn't have had the confidence to do this." Seeing the two of us flaunt our affection, Lu Yan was seething with rage, his hands clenched into fists. "It's just one bid. You haven't changed anything." Li Jiechen put his arm around my shoulder, completely ignoring Lu Yan's words as he earnestly asked for my opinion. "The French chef just landed. What would you like for dinner tonight?" "He's here already. I thought he wasn't available until the day after tomorrow. My wife wants to eat his food. How could I possibly make her wait until then?" He gently tucked a stray strand of hair behind my ear. "It's starting to rain. Let's get in the car." I nodded. Zhong Ting approached, holding an umbrella as she came up the steps. When she saw me, she bit her lip, as if wanting to say something. I just gave her a fleeting glance, then let Li Jiechen put his arm around my shoulder as we walked down the steps together under one umbrella. Behind us, I could hear the conversation between Zhong Ting and Lu Yan. "Didn't get it. It's fine, no big deal." A faint smile touched my lips as I gazed into the thickening curtain of rain ahead, thinking to myself, is it really that simple? Lu Yan, you know it's not. Otherwise, you wouldn't have shown up looking so panicked. The forecast said it would pour this afternoon. Li Jiechen's soft voice reached my ear. "Looks like the rain's coming down earlier than the forecast said." I turned my head at the sound, a sudden, warm sensation. Our faces were already close, and with my abrupt turn, our lips met. A tingling current shot through my entire body. Standing there by the car, my mind went completely blank. Li Jiaqing's dark eyes instantly deepened like pools, his handsome face flushed with a faint blush, the tips of his ears burning. The scent lingering in the air was mingled with the smell of a rainy day. as I came to my senses and tried to pull away. He released the hand on my shoulder, instead cupping the back of my head to deepen this unexpected kiss. Raindrops pattered against the umbrella, their rhythmic tapping composing a private symphony just for the two of us. 16. I got the news about Zhong Ting's miscarriage while we were having dinner that evening. A friend bombarded me with voice messages on WeChat. I heard it was just a minor fender bender in the heavy rain, and that caused a miscarriage, ha. I guess she just wasn't destined to marry into a wealthy family, but they're already married. Does she really think someone like her, a common little sparrow, can easily find a foothold in a wealthy family like that? Now that she's lost the baby, let's see how she manages. I think Lu Yan must be blind to fall for a little white lotus like her. True love, I suppose, I replied flatly, given how disappointed the Lu family is with him. I'd love to see if this true love of theirs can really last forever. Everyone knew how much I had loved Lu Yan. I went abroad to study, only to come back and find my fiancé had been stolen away. They were all even more indignant about it than I was. Whatever, I stopped loving him a long time ago. True, Li Jiechen is pretty great too, lately. He's been so driven he's practically the poster child for productivity among us trust fund kids. I set down my phone, picked up the champagne flute in front of me, and gazed out at the neon-lit nightscape beyond the window. So, even in this second chance at life, after Lu Yan married Zhong Ting, they still couldn't keep their child. After returning from the restroom, Li Jiechen naturally leaned down to kiss my forehead, his voice a soft, intimate murmur. What's on your mind? I gazed at our reflections in the glass window. I shared the news with him. He lifted his slender, well-proportioned fingers to caress my face, trailing them down to my chin, tilting it slightly, his eyes filled with deep affection. My fiancé is pining for another man. It hurts me. What a drama queen. You must be punished, he said. What punishment, Li? He lowered his head again, silencing me with his lips, one arm wrapped around my waist, pulling me tight. He was genuinely jealous. 17. Several months had passed by the time I saw Zhong Ting again. Her face was haggard, and the usual pride in her eyes was now tinged with a plea for mercy. Lin Xian, you win. I'm backing out. Please, just let Lu Yan go. I couldn't help but laugh when I heard that, so that's why she asked to meet me. I glanced at my watch. While I still had some time before my meeting with the business partner, she wasn't worth spending even this bit of free time on. I have no interest in your marital affairs, I said coolly as I stood up. Lin Xian, what exactly do you want? I told you I'm backing out. I'll divorce Lu Yan. What do I want? What does their divorce have to do with me? Zhong Ting's eyes welled up. Love really is nothing in the face of money. You rich people truly can do whatever you want. I looked at her as if she were a fool. Suddenly, I caught a glimpse of a strange, faint red mark beneath the high collar on her neck, and a thought occurred to me. Lu Yan has a tendency toward domestic violence. In good times, he acts the part of a refined gentleman, carrying himself with an air of superiority. In times of adversity, it's easy to lose control of your emotions. In a past life, after losing a major project, he was so enraged that he pinned me against the wall by my throat. Why did I lose? I can't lose. Afterwards, he knelt on the ground and apologized to me, saying he had lost his senses due to being drunk. I genuinely forgave him at the time. But later, he still had moments of losing control. He was domestically violent towards me twice, and after rising to power in the Beijing elite circles, he no longer bothered to hide it, resorting to beating and kicking me. Rage coursed through my entire body. I took a deep breath, reminding myself that this life is a new one. I've never experienced any of that before. My eyes fixed on Zhong Ting's neck, I said flatly, if domestic violence leaves evidence, it'll make divorce easier later. Zhong Ting's face instantly paled. Her hand moved to her neck in a furtive, covering gesture. What nonsense are you talking about? She exclaimed, her eyes wide with anger. What domestic violence? I raised an eyebrow and said nothing. Unexpectedly, this gesture only infuriated her further, and she unleashed a torrent of abuse at me. It's all because of you. You're the one who caused his business to fail repeatedly, and you cost us our child. Lin Xian, how could you be so cruel? Business is all about fair competition. He lost the Lu family's backing on his own, with just his personal assets. How could he possibly compete with the major families? Zhong Ting stood there, stunned. Of course, how could she possibly understand these things? Her intellectual ceiling was right there, plain to see. After a long pause, her lips parted slightly as she uttered, but he's the eldest son of the Lu family. He's the heir. The Lu family has more than one son. Besides, he was stripped of his status as heir a long time ago. As for your child, What does it have to do with me if you couldn't keep it? I gave a cold laugh. Don't be ridiculous, you too. Stop trying to pin every bit of blame on someone else, please. Help Lu Yan, he's in a really bad way, Zhong Ting pleaded, her face a picture of desperation, tears welling in her eyes. Not interested. I stood up to leave, tossing over my shoulder. I'm busy closing a billion-dollar deal, 18, as time went on. The partnerships I secured kept racking up wins, and my name gradually became known in the business world. Everyone knew I had hired several alumni at high salaries to join my think tank, and some even said with a hint of sour grapes that I was just born lucky. If I had truly gone out to start a business on my own, I could never have reached this position. It doesn't matter. With the right family and a bit of common sense, you're set for life. What can one person really accomplish alone? To achieve anything significant, you need it all: family, legacy, capital, a team, ambition, and ability. Not one can be missing. I'm well aware. His phone rang out of the blue. It was Lu Yan, whom she hadn't heard from in a year, pleading on the line. Xian, can I see you? 19. Nearly 2 years was more than enough time for Lu Yan, that once arrogant golden boy, to come crashing down to earth. His personal fortune had also been nearly wiped out by a series of bad investments, unfortunately. Every venture he set his sights on either ended in losses, got suspended due to incidents, or had its funds frozen. When he saw me again, that defiant, never say die spirit he once had was gone. His first words were a sincere apology. Xian, I'm sorry. I sat calmly across from him, offering no words in return. For him to apologize so bluntly, things must be really bad. But he wouldn't say sorry for no reason, just as I thought. His very next words after the apology were, "Would you consider partnering with me? He's run out of capital and needs funding. The problem is, without his status as the Lu family heir, securing investment is no easy task. Who's going to vouch for him? Mr. Lu, based on the competency assessment, you currently do not meet the qualifications to partner with me. I'm being perfectly frank here. I don't just partner with any Tom, Dick, or Harry." His expression darkened, a look of wounded pride on his face. "Lin Xian, you know what I'm capable of." I laughed. "What's so funny? With all your talent, how did you end up in such a financial mess that even the house you live in is facing foreclosure?" All this news came from Li Jiechen, that little jealous thing. After saying it, he'd always sneak a glance at my face, trying to see if I felt sorry for him. Silly, how could I possibly feel sorry for Lu Yan? If I'm going to feel sorry for anyone, it's him. I've seen how hard we've both been working to better ourselves over these past 2 years, from emotional support to tangible financial backing for our careers. It's all woven our bond together. To keep that little green-eyed monster Li Jiechen from overthinking, I made sure to tell him about Lu Yan asking to meet me. He was supposed to be in a meeting, yet here he was, already at the entrance of the cafe, dressed in a sharp black suit. His tall, elegant figure strode forward, his handsome features drawing frequent glances from others. I averted my gaze and heard Lu Yan still speaking naively. "If you're willing to help me, why should she help you?" Li Jiechen cut off Lu Yan's words. Lu Yan frowned at me, probably surprised as to why Li Jiechen had shown up. I smiled calmly. "My fiancé is a bit of a jealous type. I don't want him to get the wrong idea about me meeting my ex-fiancé." I made sure to enunciate the words ex-fiancé clearly and naturally. "That's right, I did it on purpose. See, as long as he's my fiancé, whether it's him or Li Jiechen, he can live in the spotlight. The key point is, he's my fiancé. Mr. Lu, if you're so eager to help, why don't you go back and beg the Lu family for it?" Li Jiechen casually took a seat beside me and, without a second thought, picked up my water glass and took a sip. The knife always finds the sore spot. The Lu family home isn't a place he can just waltz back into anymore. Having gotten a taste of power, the Lu family's second son now sees the family company as his for the taking. There's no way he's giving it up. To make the elderly couple happy, they even underwent artificial insemination and had twin sons. Lu Yan, the eldest son, had long been marginalized. The chances of him being able to return are extremely slim, unless he goes all out and finds a suitable marriage alliance to help him make a comeback. Lu Yan left with a face like thunder. I glanced sideways at the innocent Li Jiechen and sighed. "You did that on purpose." He deliberately provoked Lu Yan into making a move against the Lu family. Li Jiechen shrugged. "Not at all. I was just telling the truth. Why beg my wife? My wife would never help him, right, honey? She's my fiancé," I said, shooting him a look. He's really gotten hooked on calling her his wife. "So, when are we getting married?" Here we go again. He's been wanting to get married all year, but I'm still not truly ready. I gently took his hand, kissed it, and said with downcast eyes, "Just a little longer." He murmured in agreement, "Okay." 20. The busy period continued. I heard Lu Yan had bowed to the Lu family's pressure, but it wasn't going smoothly. Then came the news of Zhong Ting's death. The news was both sudden and shocking. It said she was hit by a car and killed while traveling abroad to clear her mind, yet, in less than a month, Lu Yan married an heiress with underworld connections. With his new wife's backing, Lu Yan sought to reclaim his position as the Lu family heir, but the second son had other plans. Internal strife within the Lu family erupted, one incident after another, causing their business share to plummet. Li Jiechen and I watched the drama unfold from the sidelines. Like spectators enjoying the show, when the two tigers had nearly finished tearing each other apart, Li Jiechen anonymously mailed the evidence suggesting Lu Yan might have murdered his wife to Lu Yan's younger brother. The scandal of a younger brother turning in his own elder brother for a crime spread like wildfire through their social circle. But before it was even known whether Lu Yan had killed his wife, his younger brother was found dead at a banquet on a cruise ship. I saw with my own eyes Lu Yan accidentally push his brother overboard into the sea. I was genuinely surprised to learn that the cruise ship banquet was hosting the local elite, and that Lu Yan would be there too. The sea breeze brushed against my face as I watched him push someone overboard, my body frozen stiff on the spot. Yet, as if sensing something, he suddenly turned his head, my wrist was seized in a tight grip, and I was pulled into a familiar embrace. Li Jiechen clamped a hand over my mouth and shook his head at me. My chest was heaving violently. I never imagined Lu Yan could be so depraved as to commit murder. Footsteps approached, and Lu Yan's cold voice cut through the air. "Who's there? This is a dead end. There's nowhere to retreat, nowhere to hide." I stared at Li Jiechen with terrified eyes, but he only kissed my forehead and whispered in my ear, "Don't make a sound. What is he going to do?" I clung to him, but he pried my hands away. Stepping out, I collided with Lu Yan's gaze and shouted, "Someone, come quickly, young Master Lu has fallen into the sea." Lu Yan stared at Li Jiechen with a grim expression. This meant Li Jiechen had seen everything. The two locked eyes in a silent battle of wills, and in the end, Lu Yan did not take another step in this direction. He insincerely blended into the rushing crowd, shouting anxiously, "Quick, someone help." My back pressed against the wall, half my body soaked in cold sweat. A sea breeze swept by, sending a violent shiver through me. Li Jiechen, who had returned to my side, took off his suit jacket and soothed me gently. "Don't be afraid, darling. I'm right here." 21. Lu Yan has killed someone. I was the only witness, but now that witness is Li Jiechen, with no video evidence, Lu Yan will most likely decide to go all the way and strike first. The witness is in grave danger. He must have realized that too, which is why he held me back and wouldn't let me step forward. My hand trembled as I grabbed Li Jiechen's arm. "Call the police. Do it now." He held me tight, his forehead pressed against mine, the warmth of his skin a tangible comfort. "Xian, calm down, calm down." "No, I can't calm down." He stopped at nothing. I've seen and felt firsthand just how ruthless Lu Yan can be. From my past life, tears welled up in my eyes. I was truly terrified. I'm so scared that Li Jiechen will be taken out by Lu Yan. Just like in our last life, Li Jiechen held me, whispering patiently and soothingly in my ear, "It's going to be okay, trust me." "All right, trust me." My trembling heart gradually calmed. I sniffled, "Honey, we need to figure something out first. What did you just call me?" His dark eyes gleamed with a brilliant light, fixed intently upon me. "Say it again." He grinned like a fool. Li Jiechen, what is he thinking? Can't he get his priorities straight? "Say it again, Xian." I love hearing it. I pushed him away. "Stop fooling around. Let's get out of here while the crowd is thick." 22. The second son of the Lu family was pulled from the water, already lifeless. The cruise ship docked. The elderly Lu couple, having rushed to the scene upon hearing the news, were so overcome with grief that they both collapsed before their deceased son. Lu Yan hypocritically took over the handling of all arrangements, even putting on a show of profound sorrow when speaking with the police. "Xian, you go back with your brother first." Li Jiechen gently kissed my forehead, then naturally reached up to smooth my wind-tousled hair. A sense of foreboding spread through my heart once more, and I instinctively grabbed his hand. "No, let's go back together. Be good. I need to go and take care of this." "I'll go with you." "Silly. There are some things a girl shouldn't see." In the end, I was persuaded by Li Jiechen and got into my older brother's car to go back. Just as the car pulled into the garage, I got a call. Li Jiechen had been in an accident. 23. It was the exact stretch of road Li Jiechen had mentioned, the very spot where he met his end in his previous life. My blood ran cold at the news, tears welled up instantly. And with a trembling voice, I told the driver to turn the car around immediately. In this life, Lu Yen was even more ruthless and decisive. He didn't even give anyone the grace of a single night. To wipe them out, root and branch, is to abandon all humanity and conscience. After hours of emergency treatment, Li Jiechen was out of danger, but we were told he might remain in a coma. Looking at him lying in the hospital bed, I bit my lip hard. I was consumed with guilt. He wouldn't have done this if it weren't to protect me. Lu Yen, you'll pay for this. 24. Justice has long arms. I found the evidence that Lu Yen killed his brother. There was a rich kid on the boat with a date. She was recording a video to show off to her friends and happened to capture the moment Lu Yen pushed someone overboard. Lu Yen was taken away by the police. Evidence of him murdering his wife was subsequently confirmed, and he was sentenced to death. By the time everything was settled, a month had already passed, yet, there was still no sign of Li Jiechen waking up. I brought the good news to the hospital and, as usual, gave Li Jiechen a massage as he lay unconscious in bed. Lu Yen was sentenced to death today. Darling, when are you going to wake up? Didn't you want to hear me call you darling, darling, darling? Suddenly, his finger twitched ever so slightly. I froze, my heart skipping a beat. Li Jiechen, can you hear me? Then, a thought struck me, and I corrected myself. Honey, you can hear me, can't you? His heavy eyelids finally lifted. Li Jiaqing, his gaze brimming with deep affection, whispered, say it again, husband, husband, husband. I laughed until tears fell, throwing myself into his arms. Li Jiaqing, you scared me half to death. He was finally awake. This time, we're both going to be okay. A magpie chirped outside the window. That sounds lovely, he said. I nestled into his arms, resting my head on his shoulder without moving. MHM. It sounds so sweet when you call me husband. Xian. From now on, you have to listen to me, okay? For the rest of our lives. Yes, for the rest of our lives. 25. A decade later, Li Jiechen had risen to become a heavyweight in the Beijing circle, but everyone knew his wife was a force to be reckoned with. She was dubbed the hidden power behind the Beijing elite. Rumor has it she holds the keys to 2/3 of his business empire. Well, his wife is me, Lin Xian, also. This is supposedly correct. The end. Story 2. Before his death, my husband said he would leave all his inheritance to his first love, Sui. She's different from you. You're just a nanny, but she's a dancer. She's lived elegantly her whole life, and only with money can she live out her remaining years comfortably. Besides, back then, if it weren't for you staging that car accident, we wouldn't have separated. You took advantage of my gratitude and wasted my entire life. If I could do it all over again, I'd rather be disabled than have any connection with you. He was full of grievances, yet never mentioned how I missed 2 college entrance exams to save him. Later, to help him recover, I gave up my aerospace dream and switched to nursing. I signed the asset waiver agreement and whispered softly, okay. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day of the college entrance exam, the moment he raced his car to win back his first love. I pretended to know nothing about it. In this lifetime, I don't want to have any involvement with him either. 1. Just as the college entrance exam ended, my dad grabbed me and quickly rushed back to the car. He started the car while my mom took charge of answering. Did you know about Wenshua's early romance? Today was the college entrance exam, but the girl broke up with him. Wenshua, I didn't need to hear the rest to know exactly what happened, just like in my past life. Wenshua got into a car accident chasing after his girlfriend and lost his legs. The only difference was this time I watched helplessly as Wenshua went to his death, then went on to complete the afternoon exam. When we arrived at the hospital, 2 exhausted doctors had just emerged from the operating room. The car accident was too severe, and the rescue was delayed. We've saved his life, but he'll most likely never walk again. If post-op recovery goes poorly, amputation might be necessary. As these words were spoken, Auntie Sue, Wenshua's mother, burst into tears. Uncle Wen steadied her, his own face filled with grief. My parents also stood there dumbfounded. It's a shame Wenshua studied so hard for so many years, only for this to happen at such a critical moment. My dad shot a look to silence my mom. After Wenshua was pushed out, all 4 parents immediately surrounded him. Only I stood frozen, staring blankly at my own hands, slender and delicate, without calluses or the swollen joints from prolonged exposure to cold water. I had truly been reborn, and the 2 exams I took this afternoon were also real. In their past life, Wenshua's first love Su Firen broke up with him on the day of the college entrance exam. In an attempt to win her back, Wenshua didn't hesitate to drive Uncle Wen's car to chase after her. I happened to see this and, worried about Wenshua's safety, followed behind. But ended up witnessing that horrific car accident with my own eyes. To get him to the hospital for treatment as soon as possible, I missed 2 afternoon exams. Despite usually scoring nearly 700 points, I only got a little over 400 in the college entrance exam. I had planned to retake the exam, but Wenshua suddenly knelt down and confessed his feelings. He said, "The doctor told me that if you hadn't risked pulling me out of the car, both my legs would likely have been amputated. You gave up 2 exams for me and missed the aerospace program. I'm willing to take responsibility for you for the rest of my life. If you don't mind me." Years of unrequited love suddenly came to fruition at this moment, and for a while I didn't even know how to react. What about Sufiran then? Wenshua's eyes were filled with nothing but hatred. If it weren't for her, how could I have ended up like this? I can't hate her enough. After a day of hesitation, coupled with changes in the college entrance exam policies and Wenshua repeatedly claiming he couldn't live without me, I finally agreed. Missing out on my favorite major, I enrolled in nursing to help Wenshua stand up again. For the next few decades, I dedicated myself to assisting Wenshua with his rehabilitation training. He said he disliked having outsiders at home, so tasks like laundry, cooking, massages, and rehabilitation were solely handled by me. I took care of him meticulously until he could stand on his own feet again. When he refused to accept failure and wanted to start a business, I was the one running around helping him. But when his career took off, on the day of his celebration banquet, I overheard him asking his assistant, "Did you manage to invite that dancer Sue Fearon to be my companion for today?" The assistant nodded but hesitated, saying, "President Wen, what about your wife?" Wenshua looked at his upright reflection in the mirror and let out a cold laugh. "My wife, she's just a housekeeper." I stood behind the door, humiliated, clutching the dress I was wearing. Perhaps heaven took pity, as Wenshua was once again admitted to the ICU due to complications, but before his death, he left all his inheritance to Sue Fearon. He even transferred the mere few $100,000 in my name to Sue Fearon. Sway, she's different from you. You're just a nanny, but she's a dancer. She's lived elegantly her whole life, and money is what she needs to live comfortably for the rest of her days. And back then, if it weren't for you staging that car accident, we wouldn't have separated. You exploited my gratitude and ruined my entire life. If I could do it over, I'd rather be disabled than have any connection with you. After toiling half my life, I became a penniless man only fit for menial labor. In my past life, I've already paid the price for being love-struck, too. This time, I silently watched Uncle Wen and Aunt Sue shed tears. Wen and I have only one son in this lifetime, Wenshua. We've poured all our efforts into him. He's clearly an outstanding student with both moral integrity and academic excellence. So how could he start dating so young? I've already made inquiries. That girl is an art student with terrible grades. The college entrance exam means nothing to her, but she shouldn't be ruining Wenshua at this critical moment. Sobs. My mother sighed beside me. This girl too. After Wenshua went through such a big ordeal for her, she doesn't even come to visit. Aunt Sue's eyes filled with resentment as she abruptly stood up. We're not an unreasonable family, but that girl ruined my son. She should at least come to apologize. Aunt Sue got up to go find Sue Fearon. But before she could take 2 steps, Wenshua's shouts came from the hospital room. Fearon. I followed at the very end and walked in. Wenshua had gauze wrapped around his head, both legs immobilized, struggling desperately to crawl but unable to get up no matter how hard he tried, because I didn't follow. It said that Wenshua remained unconscious in the car for over an hour before a teacher found him and called 120. The treatment came too late, and the injuries were more severe. The doctor said the chance of amputation is very high. Aunt Sue ran over, holding back her tears. Don't move, son. The doctor said you shouldn't move around. The wound hasn't healed yet. Wenshua stared at his leg in slight surprise, then said with forced nonchalance, "It's nothing, just a broken bone, not a big deal. See, I can still move it." Wenshua tried to move his leg, but there was no response. His expression gradually froze, and with each attempt, his face revealed growing urgency. Why can't I move my legs? The anesthesia must still be wearing off, right? Uncle Wen and Aunt Sue had tears in their eyes, but didn't know how to begin speaking. Speak, say something. Wenshua pressed the nurse call button himself, and when the nurse entered, he immediately began questioning her. What's wrong with my leg? Tell me, what's really wrong with my leg? The nurse was startled, and just as she was about to speak, Wenshua suddenly pounded his leg violently again. Why can't I move at all? Wenshua was so agitated that 2 or 3 people couldn't hold him down. but seeing him like this, I inexplicably felt a hint of satisfaction. I walked up to Wen Shuai and said word by word, "Keep pounding your legs if you want. Right now they're just paralyzed, but if you keep it up, you might end up needing amputation." Wen Shuai froze as if struck by the word paralyzed. Paralyzed. Aunt Sue finally couldn't hold back and broke down in tears. Uncle Wen also said, "Dad already knows the whole story of this matter. Now that you've ended up like this, that Su Firan." Before he could finish speaking, Wen Shuai suddenly said, "It has nothing to do with Firan. I was in a hurry and drove without permission." I lowered my eyes and smiled. "Even if your favoritism paralyzed me, should I still defend you in front of everyone? This car accident clearly had nothing to do with me. Yet in my past life, Wen Shuai could recklessly pin the blame on me. The difference between love and its absence is indeed obvious. In my past life, he said he'd rather be disabled than have any connection with me. He remained disabled for life. While I took the college entrance exams to pursue my dreams, everyone got what they wished for. 3. This time I didn't offer to stay overnight with Wen Shuai again. After a while, I went home. But the next day, Aunt Sue fell ill due to extreme stress and anger. After all, Wen Shuai was underage and caught driving without a license by the media, sparking a wave of online abuse directed at him. Uncle Wen couldn't handle the pressure alone, so my mom had no choice but to send me over right after I finished my college entrance exams. When Wen Shuai saw it was me who came, his initial excitement quickly faded. I ignored him, just quietly sat nearby playing with my phone, thinking as long as he was unharmed that was enough. But just when the nurse came to change the dressing, Wen Shuai was being very uncooperative. Bed 18, time for a dressing change. Wen Shuai turned his head with reddened eyes. No need. The nurse was helpless but not the least bit surprised, looking as if this was a common occurrence. "If you don't change the dressing, your leg will only get worse." The nurse proceeded to unwrap the bandages on Wen Shuai's leg without waiting for consent. "No need to change it." Wen Shuai violently knocked the iodine solution off the nurse's tray, sending it crashing loudly to the floor. I frowned and stood up. In his previous life, Wen Shuai couldn't accept his legs being like this either, but he wasn't as much of a jerk about it as he is now. Only after carefully recalling did I notice the difference. In the previous life after Wen Shuai's accident, I went to Su Firan and pleaded with her extensively. She came to visit him the very next day, but this time, news of Wen Shuai's car accident spread throughout the school, yet Su Firan showed no reaction at all. Wen Shuai was throwing a tantrum. The nurse was extremely aggrieved, yet she had no choice but to complete her task. But before she could touch him, Wen Shuai actually reached out and gave the nurse a shove on the shoulder. "I already told you. Are you deaf or just stupid? Is everyone in your profession this worthless? Can't you even understand what a patient is, unable to bear it any longer?" I raised my hand and slapped Wen Shuai across the face. "If you don't want treatment, just check out. Why are you throwing a tantrum here?" The nurse wiped her tears, took a deep breath, then went out to fetch the medicine again. Bed number 18. I grabbed the medicine and threw it onto Wen Shuai's body. "If you want to die, hurry up and go. If not, change it yourself." The nurse gave me a grateful look before leaving with visible relief. My heart silently aches for this young lady at the private hospital, having encountered such a beast like Wen Shuai. Wen Shuai panted heavily like a raging lion, glaring at me furiously. "Xiao Sui Sui, how dare you hit me?" Seeing the swelling on his face, I finally felt a bit of satisfaction. "Before you go looking for trouble, think about your parents first. Your mother fell ill. Your father's hair turned white overnight. What reason do you have to act like this? Just because Su Firan didn't come to see you, then why don't you go bother her instead?" Wen Shuai fell silent after being called out. After a long while, he finally spoke with a nasal tone. "Firan must have gone to training camp again and didn't know about this. That's why she didn't come." I mercilessly shattered his illusions. "The college entrance exam is over. She even attended a class reunion yesterday." Wen Shuai pressed his lips tightly and turned his head away again, clearly unwilling to admit it. By the time I returned from the bathroom, he had secretly changed his medication. In my past life, I always pitied Wen Shuai for being sick and took care of everything for him personally. Later, I ended up spoiling him into a helpless adult who wouldn't even take his daily medicine unless I portioned it out for him. Now that no one's taking care of him, he still managed to change his medication on his own, didn't he? After returning home, I took a glance at Su Firan's social media feed. She's had quite an eventful few days. After much deliberation, I finally opened the chat window with Su Firan. I wanted to see how Su Firan would treat Wen Shuai in this lifetime without my earnest persuasion. 4. The next day, Su Firan and I arrived at the hospital one after another. When I arrived, Wen Shuai's face was lifeless, but when Su Firan came, He finally seemed like a living person. His eyes sparkled. Firen, you finally come. How did you know I was hospitalized? You've gone through so much trouble in this heat. Xiao Sui Sui. Quickly go buy Firen a cup of milk tea. Even though I no longer had any feelings for Wen Shui in this lifetime, I still couldn't help but laugh in frustration. In my past life, I gave up repeating the college entrance exam to study nursing, helping him recover from paralysis and stand again. Not only did he fail to appreciate my efforts, but he also treated me like a maid, claiming I orchestrated the accident to be with him. Truly, the beloved wins by merely existing. Without lifting a finger, I stood motionless as Su Firen crossed her arms and coldly declined. She kept her distance from Wen Shui. I didn't come here to drink milk tea. Wen Shui, what exactly do you mean? You had an accident because of your poor driving skills. And now you want to drag me into it and make me take responsibility for you. Are you kidding me? Your car accident happened after I broke up with you. We're already done, understand? It was the first time I saw that expression on Wen Shui's face, stunned, awkward, yet forcing a smile. He looked like he'd had a hard life. He stammered, Firen, no, I didn't mean to make you take responsibility. Su Firen coldly berated him in return. Did you think I wouldn't know you deliberately spread rumors about your car accident at school? You're just trying to emotionally blackmail me. The more you act like this, the more disgusted I feel. You're the one who insisted on clinging to me. Do you expect me to waste my whole life on you? Don't contact me again. I'm telling you for the last time, we're already broken up. Su Firen walked away with her head held high, while Wen Shui actually shed 2 tears in his previous life. He didn't cry before death. This time, he didn't cry upon learning of his paralysis, but Su Firen's few words made him break down in tears. I curled my lips in a vengeful smirk. The college entrance exam application is coming up soon. I need to go back and choose my schools. Uncle Wen needs to take care of Aunt Sue, so please hire a temporary caregiver for now. I said a lot, but Wen Shui didn't listen to any of it. But it doesn't matter, I just need to carry out my parents' orders. I just heard that Wen Shui developed a high fever that same night and had to receive emergency treatment again. 5. I stopped going to the hospital and instead began studying aerospace knowledge. In my past life, Wen Shui called me a nanny because of my major. This time, I will fulfill my own dream. I signed up for a summer training camp related to aerospace studies and am preparing to depart in 3 days. But I never expected that the next day, while my mom was helping me pack my things, Aunt Sue's call suddenly came through. She was crying so hard on the other end she could barely catch her breath, her words interspersed with the wailing sound of sirens. Quick, come to the hospital. The girl Wen Shui likes got a boyfriend, and he's so heartbroken he's trying to kill himself. Son, come down here right now. The parents exchanged glances, and Dad accidentally cut his hand while chopping vegetables. Suicide, let's go. Hurry over there, on the way. The parents were extremely anxious. Such a good child ruined like this. Wen Shui used to be so wonderful. Xiao Sui Sui, you must never fall in love too early. No, you must never be love-struck. Understand? My mom shot a glare at my dad. How could my daughter? I sat in the back without speaking, but my heart was bitter. Actually, I don't regret saving someone in my past life, but I suffered greatly from being love-struck. In my past life, my mistakes alone caused my parents to toil for half their lives. Mom and Dad, I swear I won't let that happen again. No matter who my partner is, it won't happen. More than sacrifice. In this life I want to stay true to myself. 6. The area near the hospital was completely jammed, so my mother had to take me out of the car and we ran there. Both 110 and 119 arrived, and thick padding was laid out below the hospital. The ward was on the 15th floor, where a person in a hospital gown was hanging by the window. It was Wen Shui. Actually, I didn't feel much emotion inside, but I still recorded the video and sent it to Su Firen. Whether Wen Shui truly wants to die or is just emotionally manipulating, that's between the two of them. It has nothing to do with me. I just don't want to see Wen Shui die so soon. After all, compared to death, living is the harder ordeal. When we rushed to the ward, Wen Shui was sitting entirely on the windowsill. With the window wide open, he could fall straight down with just a slight lean backward. My mother spoke her mind into my ear. This child's legs aren't. How did he even get up there? My dad nudged my mom's arm. What kind of time is this to be saying such things? Wen Shui, listen to Uncle Qiao and come down quickly. You're still young. There's no hurdle you can't overcome. Wen Shui's face was full of brokenness as he pointed at his own leg. Like this, what's the point of me living anymore? I sent another video to Su Firen, and said, if you don't want to carry a human life on your conscience for the rest of your days, come here quickly. Aunt Sue anxiously slapped her thigh. Son, come down. Your life is just beginning. What does it matter if you lose your legs? Our family is well off. Your parents can support you. Come down quickly. Wen Shuo broke down and demanded, How am I supposed to live? I'll never be able to stand up again in this lifetime. Xiao Sui can still go to the university she loves. Everyone else still has endless possibilities. Only I have to spend my whole life in a wheelchair. Mom, Dad, I really don't want to live anymore. Let me go. You're still young. You can have another child. Just make sure they don't end up like me. Wen Shuo spoke as he leaned backward, but amidst everyone's exclamations, Su Firan arrived belatedly. Wen Shuo, how dare you? Wen Shuo froze. Su Firan supported herself on her knees, gasping for breath in great heaves. Don't jump. Please don't jump. I know what you want. I promise. I'm willing to stay with you. A flicker of joy flashed in Wen Shuo's eyes, but it was soon replaced by desolation. He shook his head. I know you've already. I don't want to hold you back. Su Firan tentatively took step after step forward. It was all because I didn't have the courage to face you before, yet couldn't forget you. So I found someone else, Wen Shuo. I still want to be with you. The moment Wen Shuo was rescued, Aunt Sue collapsed to the ground, wailing uncontrollably. My mother patted her shoulder sympathetically. There, it's all right now. Is that so? But the anger and resentment in Su Firan's eyes clearly didn't look like nothing's wrong. 7. I went home to prepare for summer camp. While my parents still kept going to the hospital from time to time, they said with Su Firan around. Wen Shuo finally started taking his treatment seriously. I've watched Wen Shuo grow up since childhood, and I've never seen him so obedient before. Sigh, it would be best if those two could stay like this forever. But that girl doesn't seem like the type who can hold on, I said while packing food into my bag. Why do you care so much? Mom, you should be checking on me instead. I'm leaving tomorrow. Only then did my mom start helping me pack my things, but after a while, she hesitated and said, Sui, why does Mom feel like you and Wen Shuo have grown much more distant recently? Before, weren't you? I paused and said earnestly, Mom, please stop talking about childhood sweethearts anymore. Since Wen Shuo and Su Firan are already together, I should keep my distance even if our relationship was once very close. I made my stance clear, and my mom didn't ask any further questions. That very evening, Aunt Sue and Uncle Wen came to our house to complain. Seeing my suitcase and bag, Aunt Sue was momentarily stunned. Sui, are you going somewhere? I nodded. I plan to apply for the aerospace program, so I'm cramming some knowledge during summer break first. Aunt Sue nodded, tears welling up in her eyes before she could speak. When the crowd thinned, she suddenly grabbed my hand and said, Sui, go study the major you love. It's Wen Shuo who wronged you. You and Wen Shuo grew up together since childhood. Even Auntie can't bear to see you being held back by him. I froze for a moment, at a loss for how to respond. In my past life after marriage, Auntie Sue and Uncle Wen were actually always very good to me. Having a son like Wen Shuo who's been love-struck for 2 lifetimes, they've really had it rough. I couldn't bear to hurt Aunt Sue, so I tactfully said, Wen Shuo and Su Firan are deeply in love, and they will eventually have a happy ending, with someone taking good care of him. Perhaps Wen Shuo will gradually recover. Auntie, please set your mind at ease. After all, in my past life, it was through my care that Wen Shuo managed to stand up again. But Aunt Sue shook her head. Wen Shuo won't let us get close, and Su Firan is just a child who doesn't know how to care for others. Within just a few days, Wen Shuo developed bed sores. This was expected. In my past life, I would wipe Wen Shuo's body twice a day and massage his muscles once. Only I knew the exhaustion involved. It's perfectly normal that Su Firan couldn't manage it. The next day I went straight to summer camp. Everything related to space fascinates me. I was voraciously absorbing all kinds of knowledge. This time I must make up for last time's regret no matter what. Wen Shuo had been completely pushed out of my mind. It wasn't until 10 days later, when I was preparing to go home to check my grades, that I found out Su Firan had actually gotten engaged to Wen Shuo. Engagement is a happy occasion. Why do you all look so gloomy? My parents shook their heads one after another. Do you think an engagement is something decided so casually? My mother held up 3 fingers. It was your Uncle Wen who promised a dowry of 3 million, plus all of Su Firan's university expenses in exchange. I raised an eyebrow, but quickly came to terms with it. It's simply a case of the biter bit. 8. That evening, our family of 3 sat neatly in front of the computer, eagerly waiting to check the results at the exact moment they were released. The moment I saw the total score of 703, tears of excitement streamed down my face. Mom, I can study aerospace engineering. I can do it. I could have done it all along. My parents couldn't understand what I was saying, just nodding frantically along. In my past life, when I discovered Wenshua treated me like a maid while paying extravagantly for Su Firan to be his companion, I found an opportunity to bring this up with him, but Wenshua just looked me up and down, then dragged me in front of a mirror. Look at yourself, you're dry, split ends and hands swollen like radishes. What else could you be but a nanny? Besides, you studied nursing. Isn't that just being a glorified maid, if not a nanny? Would you even consider wiping my waist in a hospital? I shouted emotionally. Didn't I study nursing to help you recover? Without me, would you have gotten better, Wenshua? How can you be so heartless? My body trembled with rage. If it weren't for saving you back then, the past 10 years were what Wenshua least wanted to mention. He slammed the table angrily and demanded, back then, back then, back then. How many more times must you bring it up? Even if you had taken the exam back then, could you have scored high? Could you have gotten into the aerospace program? Xiao Sui Sui. I see you're quite the dreamer. That night, my heart was utterly shattered by Wenshua, but my 703-point score proved I could really do it. I always could. Early the next morning, I dragged my parents out to celebrate, but right then, they ran into Su Firan pushing Wenshua out in his wheelchair, even while turning to lock the door. Wenshua couldn't tear his gaze away from Su Firan. With her around, Wenshua's mood noticeably improved. Uncle, Aunt, Sui Sui, where are you all going? The parents were afraid that celebrating openly would hurt Wenshua's feelings, so they just made up a random excuse, going to her grandmother's place for dinner. What about you? Wenshua's emotions were written all over his face. Firan is taking me to the hospital for a follow-up check. As soon as the words fell, Su Firan took the initiative to ask me, the college entrance exam results are out. How many points did Sui Sui score? In my peripheral vision, Wenshua also looked at me. With a faint smile on my lips, I calmly said, 703 points. In my peripheral vision, a trace of desolation actually flashed across Wenshua's face. Su Firan's face showed no extra expression as she said, I can also go to the school I like to study dance now. Classes start on September 5th. At this, Wenshua completely lost his smile. Given his current situation, forget about going to university, he couldn't even be left alone without someone by his side, but Su Firan was different. Could someone who fits in seamlessly really stay by Wenshua's side for a lifetime? 9. Before school started, my parents held a college celebration banquet for me, and Uncle Wen's family was naturally on the guest list. I was admitted to Beihang University. Both the school and the program were my top choices. On the day of the celebration banquet, Wenshua sat silently in his wheelchair lost in thought, while I was surrounded by relatives and friends chatting and laughing. When the classmates clamored for a group photo at the end, everyone eagerly gathered together. Only Wenshua remained motionless, gripping the wheelchair armrests tightly. Wenshua, come up here. Aren't you two the closest? Sui Sui is leaving for university. Exactly. Everyone knows you two grew up together since childhood. Come on up. Wenshua pursed his lips and remained still, but two boys ran down and without a word moved him along with his wheelchair up to the platform. It's just that back then, he was the wealthy and handsome top student who was always the center of attention wherever he went. This time, no one gave him the central C-spot. Later, when I looked at the group photo, I realized Wenshua had been placed at the very edge of the crowd, on the night before school started. Wenshua actually came knocking on my door. After opening the door, I instinctively looked straight ahead, and only when I saw no one at eye level did I lower my gaze to see Wenshua sitting in a wheelchair. He smiled self-deprecatingly. I guess from now on, you'll only be looking down at me. Can we go out for a walk? I wanted to refuse, but my mother whispered behind me, Wenshua has been cooped up at home for so long, and he's finally willing to go out. Please accompany him for a walk. A habit from my past life. Whenever I see a wheelchair, I feel the urge to push it. I forcibly withdrew my hand and walked ahead. The roads in the Villa district were spacious, with Wenshua sitting in a wheelchair walking alongside me. Congratulations on getting into your favorite school. I politely yet distantly said thank you, but then Wenshua immediately took out his exam admission ticket. He smiled bitterly. What a coincidence. The school you're going to is the one I wanted to attend. But I'll never have the chance now. Xiao Sui Sui, please take my exam admission ticket with you too. This is all I can do in this lifetime. He handed me his exam admission ticket, but I didn't take it. Maybe someday Su Firan will take you to fulfill that dream. I absent-mindedly swatted at non-existent mosquitoes by my legs. There are too many mosquitoes. Let's head back first. Wenshua felt a momentary loneliness, but didn't say anything. As they walked, Wenshua gradually fell behind. I frowned and turned to look, only then noticing his wheelchair was stuck on a rock. When our eyes met, his face was full of embarrassment, yet he stubbornly said, "Don't mind me, it's just a small rock, I've got this." Okay, I nodded and went straight home. 10. Sufiran and I started school on the same day. At the high-speed rail station, we happened to run into Wenshua and Sufiran saying goodbye. Wenshua secretly slipped Sufiran a bank card. "Don't let yourself suffer at school." After receiving the money, Sufiran couldn't wait to enter the station, prompting Wenshua to quickly add one last remark: "If you have time, remember to come back." To this, Sufiran gave no response. College life turned out to be far more fulfilling than I had imagined. Plus, it's a major I'm genuinely interested in, making my college life feel incredibly joyful. I think my past self must have been completely insane. To think I gave up so much just for a man, this time. I've experienced everything I never got to do in my previous life. After the semester ended, I specifically went abroad to skydive before returning home. Aunt Sue came to my house again that night, anxiously asking, Sway, have all universities gone on break during this period? Firan still hasn't come back yet." I raised an eyebrow. "It's already been a month-long holiday. I even went abroad for a trip and came back." "Auntie, Sufiran and I don't go to the same school. Maybe there's some special situation on her side." Aunt Sue nodded with a worried expression. "Auntie doesn't want to keep this child trapped either. But she was the one who initially proposed being willing to get engaged. Our family fulfilled all our promises, yet now she's nowhere to be found. That child Wenshua is stubborn to a fault. He's lost over 20 pounds these past few months." Sigh, frowning. I reluctantly asked a classmate to inquire about Sufiran's school at Auntie Sue's pleading. The answer we got was, that university had let out half a month earlier than ours. My mom was frantic. "I have to tell Aunt Sue, if you don't want to get engaged, then don't. Wenshua has been waiting at home day and night." What kind of situation is this? I stopped my mom. "I'll never do a favor that ends up causing me trouble again." After another week or so, Sufiran finally came back. She was dressed head to toe in designer brands, looking every bit the socialite, according to my mom. Wenshua finally started showing some smiles, but over the next month, Wenshua grew increasingly haggard. Uncle Wen and Aunt Sue seemed to have aged 10 years in just 6 months. Uncle Wen, who had never bowed his back before, even came to my house to borrow money. My father didn't hesitate to take out a card. "Old Wen, what on earth happened? How did it come to this?" Our family and the Wen family were on equal footing. Even if something happened to Wenshua, they would never be reduced to having no money. Uncle Wen let out a long sigh and only spoke after a long while. "Sufiran said she wants to study abroad, but the cost is staggering. If we don't support her, she'll call off the engagement." Wenshua's condition has been unstable. During a recent hospital checkup, it suddenly worsened. The doctor said, "They might have to amputate." Wenshua's mother and I have truly reached our limits. Even after Uncle Wen left, my parents were still shaking their heads in disbelief. Is Wenshua really that inseparable from Sufiran? The family fortune is almost drained. I asked curiously, "Is Uncle Wen's company not doing well?" My parents sighed in unison. Wenshua's unlicensed driving incident was exposed. "And your Uncle Wen's company suffered greatly. They just paid a hefty penalty not long ago." I nodded. When I tossed and turned unable to sleep at night, I came across Sufiran's social media post. She had updated many photos and videos of herself dancing, but looking at her dance partner, I couldn't help feeling somewhat familiar. 11. Not long after, I coincidentally ran into Sufiran and a guy on the street. The two were even holding hands, appearing extremely intimate. Only when I saw him in person did I suddenly remember, this guy was actually from our high school. When Sufiran glanced in this direction, I instinctively hid and then secretly followed her. "Firan, would the Wen family really be willing to give you 6 million? That's no small amount. You really dare to ask for the moon, don't you?" Sufiran coquettishly retorted, "You're one to talk. Doesn't that 6 million include your share? Don't you want to go abroad for further studies with me? As long as that cripple Wenshua can't live without me, his family has no choice but to accept their fate. Luckily you made that bet with me back then, to see if Wenshua would abandon his college entrance exams to chase after me if I broke up with him. That's what made him a cripple. All our current happiness is built upon Wenshua's disability." The boy smiled, kissed Sufiran on the cheek, and even patted her but, I froze in shock. Sufiran actually did it on purpose. Wenshua would resort to emotional blackmail to be with the one he loved, while Sufiran would gamble with someone's legs at stake. They are truly a match made in heaven. Wenshua got what he deserved, but Aunt Sue and Uncle Wen were the real victims who got dragged into this. It wasn't until evening that the man brought Sufiran back. I glanced at the car, it was worth millions. So the Wen family's money was all spent on this man. Spending money like flowing water. No wonder the Wen family went bankrupt. Sufiran froze when she saw me, a flash of guilt crossing her face. She wanted to return directly to the Wen family, but I blocked her path. What are you doing? I couldn't be bothered to waste words with her, so I got straight to the point and showed the photos I'd just taken. Wen Shui might be a fool, but Uncle Wen and Aunt Su certainly aren't. If you insist on demanding an exorbitant amount of money, don't blame me for making everything you've gained go up in smoke. Sufiran froze for a moment, anger flashing across her face. Mind your own business. Wen Shui is just a cripple now. Why should I, a young girl in the prime of my life, waste my whole life on a cripple? Besides, it was him who forced me into this by threatening suicide. He brought this upon himself. But what about Wen Shui's parents? I hissed in a suppressed voice. Did Wen Shui's parents deserve to be drained dry by you too? They should have been enjoying their retirement peacefully like my parents. But now they're reduced to bowing and borrowing money from everyone because of your mess. I don't care how you treat Wen Shui, but you're not allowed to ruin Uncle Wen and Aunt Su like this. After delivering my warning, I turned around and went straight home. 2 days later, Aunt Su finally showed a faint smile on her face. She returned the card she borrowed from our family. Wen Shui has been begging Firen these past 2 days, and she agreed not to go abroad for now. Thank you all. We probably won't need this money for the time being. My parents both breathed a sigh of relief. It seems Su Firen was genuinely afraid of losing the Wen family's cash cow. I didn't listen further. This was all the help I could offer them, with school starting soon. I've been busy meeting up and dining with high school friends every day. But when I returned that evening, I saw Wen Shui sitting motionless in his wheelchair outside. I was genuinely startled for a moment when I saw how gaunt he looked. He caught my subtle change of expression and gave a self-deprecating smile. Did I scare you? I really haven't had much appetite lately. Instead of answering, I glanced at the lit lights in their house. What are you sitting here for? Wen Shui looked at me, his eyes gradually turning red. I frowned. If there's nothing else, I'll head back. Don't go. For some reason, Wen Shui's voice actually choked up slightly as he spoke. My parents went to the company and won't be back tonight because of work. Su Firen brought his dance partner over to our house to hang out. I raised my eyebrows, somewhat surprised by how bold Su Firen was being, but on the surface, he calmly responded with a sound. So what are you trying to say? Wen Shui's Adam's apple bobbed, and the words he spoke utterly shocked me. Sway. If I break off the engagement with Su Firen, can we be together? I've seen clearly now. Su Firen never had genuine feelings for me. Only you and I share true sincerity. Suppressing a cold laugh, I asked, and then, Wen Shui's eyes lit up, as if seeing hope, he said urgently, I believe my leg will definitely recover as long as it gets proper care. Sway, how about you go study nursing? Once my leg heals, I'll start a business and make sure you live more gloriously than now. With every word Wen Shui spoke, my heart grew colder. By the end, I was almost certain that Wen Shui had been reborn just like me. The originally tranquil night suddenly turned gloomy, and a bolt of lightning struck down. Wen Shui's face looked frenzied under the lightning's glow. Sway, we'd definitely have a better life together than now. I know you like me. Let's give it a try. Okay, I laughed. It's you who would drain my value. You're the one who'd live better than now, aren't you? You succeed in your startup, then say I'm just a nanny. Wen Shui, why should I give up aerospace studies just to help you recover? Wen Shui froze completely. You too. I took a step closer, enunciating each word deliberately. Wen Shui, you've gotten your wish in this lifetime. A flash of devastation crossed Wen Shui's face as he stood frozen in place, as if struck by lightning. I'm now a top-tier university aerospace student, destined to become an astronaut. But what about you? A disabled person like you. How could you ever match up to me? After saying this, I turned around and went home. The moment I closed the door, thunder cracked outside with a sharp clap. Ciao Sway. I was wrong last time. Sway. My mom walked by with a glass of milk. Is someone calling you outside? No, it's thunder. You must have misheard. As soon as the words were spoken, rain began pouring down outside with a pitter-patter. Wen Shui was drenched in the rain, straining to turn the wheels, but the wheelchair remained immobile. 13. Early the next morning, my parents were ready to take me to the high-speed rail station to return to school, but the car had only driven a few dozen meters when both police cars, 110, and ambulances, 120, entered our neighborhood. It's been such an eventful time lately. What's happened to which family now? When I saw the police car parked outside Winshua's house, my dad slammed on the brakes. It's the Wen family. My right eye twitched as I suddenly remembered what Winshua said last night. My parents went to the company. They have something to attend to and won't be back tonight. Su Firan brought his dance partner home to hang out. The police broke down the door, and paramedics carried out a white shrouded body on a stretcher. My mother's legs gave way, but fortunately I caught her. Who died? Just as the words were spoken, when Zhua and another boy were carried out alive, the relief my parents had just felt vanished instantly. Who is this boy? Where are old Wen and his wife? Call them now. I was about to say that Uncle Wen and his wife weren't here, but as when Zhua was carried past me, he grabbed my sleeve. And only then did I see the blood covering his entire body. Let go. The medical staff tried with all their might but couldn't pry his hands open, so they had no choice but to look at me helplessly. He has multiple stab wounds. The bleeding won't stop. His organs might be punctured. We can't afford to waste any time now. Why don't you come along in the car? I gave Wenshua a cold look, refusing to be morally coerced, and directly took off my own sun-protective jacket. Wenshua was sent to the hospital, and my parents called to inform Uncle Wen's family. Meanwhile, my parents went to the police station to help understand this situation. The man was sobbing uncontrollably in the police station. I really didn't mean to kill anyone. I was just defending myself. That cripple was a lunatic. He didn't want to live anymore and tried to kill us in the middle of the night. If I hadn't been a light sleeper, I would have been killed for sure. This is so unfair. I swear I didn't intend to kill anyone. The policeman slammed the table angrily. Then why would he try to kill you for no reason? The man fell silent for a moment before spouting nonsense. In their past life, Wenshua's first love Su Firan broke up with him on the day of the college entrance exam. No, I scoffed. You don't even know Wenshua, so why would you spend the night at his place? The police officer's gaze was sharp. Leniency for those who confess, severity for those who resist. If you want probation, you'd better come clean. Only after intense coercion and inducements did he finally reveal his relationship with Su Firan. It was just last night when Wenshua's parents weren't home. Su Firan wanted some excitement, so she brought me back. The two of us did it right in front of Wenshua, but who knew that cripple would have such a fiery temper? Instead of sleeping at night, he actually crawled over trying to kill someone. Look, I'm injured too. My mother went mad with anger upon hearing this and immediately gave that person a thorough scolding. Meanwhile, Uncle Wen's call also came through. Old Xiao, is Sui Sui at home? The doctor said Wenshua's resuscitation failed, and now he's lying here calling Sui Sui's name. Could you let Sui Sui come see Wenshua one last time? The boy, he refuses to let go. I frowned and shook my head at Dad. It was the first time he'd lied to Uncle Wen. Sorry. Old Wen, Sui Sui has already taken the high-speed train back to school. Sorry, Uncle Wen and Auntie Sue. I never want to see Wenshua again. I returned to school very soon, and that evening when I arrived, my mom sent me a message. Wenshua is still holding on, still keeps muttering something about being sorry. What kind of fate is this for Uncle Wen and Aunt Sue? At 5 a.m. the next morning, my mom's message came through again. Let's go. Pressing my lips together, I hesitated before replying. Please comfort Uncle Wen and Aunt Sue properly. As for Wenshua, may we never meet again in this life or the next. 4 years later, I graduated with my bachelor's degree and was admitted to a combined master's and doctoral program. No matter what, I fulfilled my lifelong dream in this lifetime. The end. Story 2. Since I found out that the servant's son liked me, I began to isolate and loathe him. Finally, I managed to find something against Zhong Yu and drove him out of the house. 7 years later, the Yu family went bankrupt. In a desperate situation, I had no choice but to beg this rising business tycoon, Zhong Yu. Once again, surprisingly, Zhong Yu didn't make things difficult for me. On the contrary, he actually helped the Yu family out. I stayed by his side and tried my best to gradually heal the previous rift between us. Until one day, an accident occurred. The car plunged off a cliff. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back in high school, during the worst period of our relationship. At that moment, I was doing everything I could to drive Zhong Yu out of the house. Look at him, he's a pervert, so shameless. How can such a person still stay in our house? Mom and Dad, kick him out now. When I opened my eyes again, my head spun. The shouts I had just made still echoed in my ears. No one said a word. The villa was filled with an eerie silence. My father and mother looked at each other, seemingly taken aback by the scene. A pile of letters was scattered on the floor. They were the love letters Zhong Yu had written to me in my previous life. I suddenly remembered that this was the time when I was about to graduate from senior high school 7 years ago. I had gone to great lengths and finally found something to use against Zhongyu, and then I drove him out of the Yu family. Zhongyu was the son of our family's servant. He was outstanding, intelligent, and good-looking, but for some reason, I disliked him very much. Perhaps it was because we lived together, and my classmates always liked to joke about us, asking if he was the child bridegroom arranged for me by my parents. What's more, he refused to clarify. Despite his cold personality, he was always much gentler and softer towards me than towards others. In my previous life, I distanced myself from him, mocked him. I even asked my mother several times to drive him out, but he never got angry. Gradually, he seemed to be truly sad. He talked to me less and less, until I found many diaries and love letters about me in his textbooks. Only then did I know that Zhongyu had liked me for a long time. Like discovering a huge secret, I gathered the whole family together and then showed the evidence I found. I severely rebuked him, calling him terrible, a pervert, shameless. In fact, the content wasn't too explicit, but my mother had no choice. Finally, she fired Zhongyu's mother. It was the second semester of senior high school at that time, and because of the transfer, no other school was willing to accept Zhongyu, so he ended up repeating a year of study. Later, he went to study in a foreign place for college. In my previous life, I thought that was the last time I would see Zhongyu, but it wasn't, by chance. 7 years later, we met again. At that time, Zhongyu's business venture was successful. He broke into the circle of business celebrities and became a powerful new business magnate that no one could underestimate. Our family's company, however, was in a slump and on the verge of bankruptcy, with no one willing to help. In desperation, I had to beg Zhongyu for help. To my surprise, he agreed, and he didn't even make any demands. We maintained our communication through an ordinary business partnership, until one business trip, an accident suddenly occurred. The oncoming truck seemed to have a brake failure and crashed straight into us. Zhongyu desperately turned the steering wheel towards me. At the moment of impact, he tightly protected me under his body. Before he died, he reached out and touched my cheek. His voice was dry and filled with sorrow. Xiaohe, you hate me, don't you? But even though you hate me so much, all these years, I still wondered if we could be together one day. He paused and suddenly smiled. But it's so tiring. Loving you is so tiring. If there is a next life, I think I don't want to like you anymore. The rescue came too late. In the end, the crashed truck caught fire. The flames spread violently. I closed my eyes, placed my fingers on Zhongyu's cheek, and whispered, "It doesn't matter. If we could start over, let me come to you, okay?" I never expected that I would return to my high school days, and just a while ago, I had taken out the stack of letters I found in Zhongyu's textbooks and thrown them in front of everyone. My mother came over and took my arm, carefully trying to soothe me. Alas, how could this happen? Although she was always kind-hearted, she loved me the most, so she looked at Zhongyu, then at Zhongyu's mother, and sighed. Since Xiaohe and Zhongyu really can't get along, there's no other way. We'll have to hire someone else. Zhongyu stood in the corner. The dim light cast a lonely shadow over him. He quickly stepped forward, gave a soft and his voice was cold and without the slightest hesitation. He said, "I'm sorry. It's my fault for causing trouble to you. I'll go pack my things now and leave with my mother." He turned around resolutely without even looking at me. This was exactly the same as in my previous life. I suddenly remembered that before he died, he tightly held my hand and said in a very low voice, "It's so tiring, Xiaohe, so tiring. It turns out that loving someone is such a tiring thing." I quickly picked up all the letters, then rushed forward and grabbed his wrist. "Wait, Zhongyu, what I meant was just..." I racked my brain and muttered softly, "It's better to focus on studying before the college entrance examination. Can we talk about this after the exam?" I lowered my voice for the last sentence, so only the two of us could hear it. Zhongyu suddenly turned his head and stared at me intently, his expression full of doubt and disbelief. After a long while, he pursed his lips and said to me word by word in a low voice, "Yuhi, I also have feelings. Why do you think that after you've trampled on my heart once, I'll offer it up again for you to humiliate?" He bit his lip, and his tone became much more decisive. "Now and in the future, I don't want to be with you anymore." In the end, it was my father who settled the matter. He thought highly of Zhongyu, not only because of his excellent academic performance, always ranking first in the grade, but also because, although he was just in high school, he had already shown great talent in business and investment. Sometimes, his sense in strategic business decisions was more acute than that of some professional managers. He really wanted to nurture such a promising young talent. In my previous life, if I hadn't made such a fuss, he would have turned a blind eye. Now, seeing me silently pick up the letters and stop making a scene, he coughed twice and made a decision. What's all this talk about leaving? It's not a big deal, just a quarrel between kids. Nonsense. He walked over and patted Zhongyu on the shoulder, his tone much more amiable. Xiao, he doesn't know what she's saying. Don't take it to heart. She's not good at studying. You should help her more. As for the rest, we trust you two to be sensible. Let's talk about it later. Okay. Zhongyu seemed to want to say something, but my father simply waved his hand, ending the small family chaos I had caused. I knew Zhongyu wouldn't leave. He had always respected my father. Even out of respect for my father, he wouldn't leave immediately. Moreover, if he left now, there were many other things to consider, such as his mother's job, his studies, and the college entrance examination. A wave of self-blame welled up inside me, overwhelming me. I thought of my previous life. After the Yu family fell, I went to beg Zhongyu for help. At that time, I was prepared to be humiliated, but he didn't do anything. After the investment in the Yu family was underway, by chance, we were both a bit drunk, and I casually mentioned, Zhongyu, to be honest, I thought, you would hate me and pretend not to know me. Zhongyu was stunned for a moment. He looked up at me, then poured himself a glass of wine and smiled. He nodded and said, yeah. I thought so too. But Yuhi, 7 years have passed. I also want to let go. Zhongyu said the last sentence with great hesitation and pain. It must have been a difficult process for him to convince himself to forget everything that had happened in the past 7 years. And now, I want to make things clear once and for all. We agreed that this time, I would be the one to chase after him. He wouldn't have to suffer as much as he did in the previous life. That night, I secretly went to the 3rd floor of the villa, Zhongyu's room. After standing at the door for a while, I finally mustered up the courage and knocked gently, but the door wasn't fully closed and opened by itself. Zhongyu was sitting at the desk, looking through textbooks and exercise books. When he heard the sound, he quickly turned around, but when he saw it was me, his face darkened immediately, and his voice was extremely cold. Yuhi, what are you doing here? Did I invite you in? In my previous life, our relationship had already started to improve, but now, we were back to the worst period of our relationship. I couldn't get used to his current cold attitude for a moment and stood there, stunned. The words I had prepared got stuck in my throat and I couldn't say them. Finally, after a long while, I managed to say, Zhongyu, I'm really bad at math. Can you help me take a look? As soon as I said this, I regretted it. The reason was simple. When Zhongyu used to follow me around, he had mentioned several times that he wanted to help me with my studies, but I had always scolded him back. I mocked him with all kinds of harsh words, like mind your own business. Don't think you're so great just because you're good at studying. Even if you get the first place, you still have to work for my family, right? I kept scolding him until he no longer dared to approach me and gradually became more reserved and silent. Sure enough, when I brought up the topic of tutoring again, Zhongyu curled his lips. His already impatient expression was tinged with a hint of confusion and sarcasm. He pushed the textbook aside, stood up, and walked slowly towards me. You were the one who wanted to keep a distance, and you were the one who didn't want to talk to me. Yuhi, weren't these all your words? What's wrong with you? Did you come up with a new and better way to deal with me and drive me out? Zhongyu stood in front of me, frowning, looking disappointed. I suddenly realized that for the 18-year-old, newly adult Zhongyu, at this moment, it was very difficult for him to trust me. This realization made me blurt out, no. I took a deep breath, rubbed my eyes, and finally said the words I had wanted to say since I came up here, one by one. No, Zhongyu, I don't want to deal with you. I just want to apologize for everything I've done in the past, including the verbal abuse, the unnecessary coldness and humiliation, and so much more. I've grown up and I'm not as naive as I used to be, with all kinds of emotions swirling inside me. My next words were almost choked with sobs. So can you give me a chance? Can you try to forgive me? These words came from the bottom of my heart. So Zhongyu, can you give me another chance? I looked up at him softly. Zhongyu turned his face to the side. The previous expressions of weariness and suspicion seemed to be gradually fading away. He picked up the notebook he had been looking at earlier from the desk and threw it into my arms. If you want to improve your math, the knowledge points in this notebook are enough. Then he opened the door. Just as I was holding the exercise book, not knowing how to thank him, he made a gesture of invitation. He still didn't look at me, and his tone was still indifferent. There's no need to talk about forgiveness or not. I've already figured it out. You're a young lady, and you have the right to act willfully. It's only natural that you wouldn't like someone like me." Holding the doorknob, his cold gaze fell on me, making me feel a little ashamed. "So you don't need to apologize to me. And don't come to me out of pity anymore. What does it feel like to be rejected twice by the same person in one day?" "Well, let me tell you, I really wanted to find a place to bury myself." After Zhongyu closed the door, I almost ran back to my room with my face covered. Then I threw myself onto the bed and the phone in my pocket fell out and rolled aside. Just then, someone called. The screen lit up. It was Lin Rua, my best friend. We were deskmates in high school and had a very close relationship. She went abroad for college and later married into an old, established wealthy family. I heard that the family had very strict rules for daughters-in-law, so we didn't contact each other much. When the Yu family declined, I once thought about asking her for help, but considering that she wasn't happy either, I gave up the idea in the end. Seeing her name now, I was jolted awake. I immediately sat up and answered the phone. "Yuhi, what are you doing?" Lin Rua's voice came from the other end of the phone. She was probably outside, and it was a bit noisy around her. "I'm at a bar. Xian's brother just closed a big deal and rented out the whole place. Come and have fun with us." In my previous life, I did go there, but now, just reborn and having gone through all this, I really wasn't in the mood. Lin Rua walked to a quieter place, and her voice became much clearer. "Xiaohe, what's wrong? You sound unhappy. Did something happen?" After 2 lifetimes, there are some things I can only talk to her about. After a moment of hesitation, I covered my face and let out a sigh. "Rua, do you know that Zhongyu rejected me twice today?" As soon as this name came up, Lin Rua's voice almost deafened my ears. She let out several exclamations of disbelief and asked in confusion, "Zhongyu, Yuhi, are you crazy or am I? I clearly remember that you hated him very much. Don't tell me you're that kind of heartless girl who ignored him when he was chasing after you, but then noticed his goodness when he turned cold towards you." I leaned back and closed my eyes. Damn it, why did her words hit so hard? The worst part was that I couldn't refute them. Fine. I grabbed my hair, feeling resigned. I was in the wrong, but you know how terrible my language skills are. That apology was already the best I could do. I don't know what to do next. Lin Rua was silent for a moment, seemingly deep in thought, then stopped trying to apologize. "Zhongyu is willing to help you with your studies, Yuhi. Isn't there anything you can do for him to fix the relationship?" What did Zhongyu need? He was excellent in studies, good looking, and the company he founded caused a sensation in the entire tech industry. He successfully became one of the new business tycoons of the next generation. His life seemed to be going smoothly. And he didn't seem to lack anything. No, there was one thing. Perhaps, I remembered that he had been planning to start a business since high school, but he had always lacked a crucial patent. It wasn't until college, when he met more people, that he learned the patent was actually in the hands of a university professor. Unfortunately, he was a step too late, and it was sold to his competitor. In my previous life, when Zhongyu and I were on a business trip and had a car accident, we were on our way to find an alternative to this patent. After all, it was still needed for the Yu Group's investment deal. Now that I was back in the past and could start over, if I could get this patent first, Zhongyu's business venture would probably go much more smoothly. At least, he wouldn't have to spend time running around looking for an unproven alternative. Thinking of this, I urgently sent a WeChat message to Lin Rua, asking for help. "Rua, I remember your mom is a university teacher. Does she know a lot of people in the academic circle? Can you do me a favor and find someone for me?" Lin Rua's mother was a well-known professor, and she had many friends engaged in research. I guessed it wouldn't take long to find out the identity of that professor. But I didn't expect that the first person to contact me about this wasn't Lin Rua, but Xian, the neighbor who lived next door to me. Xian and I grew up together. Technically, we were childhood sweethearts, and our relationship used to be very good, but after experiencing my previous life, I really didn't want to use this term to describe him. The Xie family's business was actually a bit larger than the Yu family's. So in my previous life, when the Yu family went bankrupt, the first person I thought of asking for help was Xian. But he didn't agree immediately. Instead, he lit a cigarette and suddenly asked me a question. "Xiaohe, do you know the Chen family? I'm engaged to the Chen family's only daughter. We'll get married next month, probably." I looked up, confused. The Chen family seemed to be a prominent family from the south, and I hadn't had much contact with them, but this seemed irrelevant to me asking him for help, right? Xian took a big puff of his cigarette, stared straight at me, and suddenly laughed. "I used to think we would be together, Xiaohe. This kind of marriage is just for show. We can each do our own thing. if you don't mind the false reputation, and you're willing to stay by my side." He didn't finish his sentence because I had already stood up, picked up the coffee on the table, and poured it over his head. "Xian, when did you become such a despicable person?" I originally didn't want to pay attention to Xian, but after school, he directly blocked me outside our classroom. I couldn't avoid him, so I had to walk with him to the side of the corridor. Standing there impatiently, I gritted my teeth and asked him in a low voice, "What exactly do you want?" On the other side, Xian looked confused. He was stunned for a while, seemingly unable to understand how, in just a few days, my attitude towards him had changed so drastically. "Are you upset about something? You didn't reply to my text messages," Xian complained, but he still wore that gentlemanly mask on his face. He waved a business card in his hand at me and leaned towards me with a smile. "But don't be angry with me. I heard that Xiaohe was looking for someone, so I immediately asked my family to help. How are you going to thank me?" I blinked and quickly understood. The business card in Xian's hand was the contact information of the professor I was looking for. Probably that night at the bar, Lin Rua had mentioned it casually, and he had remembered it, but even so, I didn't want to owe Xian a favor. Moreover, the request he made was very annoying. "Isn't the son of your family servant very good at studying? He can even predict exam questions. Why don't you get his notes, and we can study them together?" Crazy, I thought with a frown. Before I could refuse, I glanced to the side. Suddenly, I saw Zhongyu. He was holding a stack of test papers. He had just come out of the teacher's office. As he passed by, his gaze seemed to casually rest on us for a few seconds, and then it moved away. I didn't know how much he had seen or heard, but his expression was as if we were the most insignificant strangers he had ever met. I didn't expect to run into Zhongyu, since school was already over. I thought he had left long ago. I pushed Xian aside forcefully and chased after Zhongyu. "Zhongyu," I gently tugged at his sleeve and took a breath. "Why pretend you didn't see me? Let's go home together." Being pulled by me, Zhongyu finally stopped. When he turned his head to look at me, there was a hint of weariness in his expression, and his voice was deep. "What do you want? If there's nothing else, stop following me. Miss you. Isn't your childhood sweetheart waiting to walk home with you? Go to him." I was stunned. In my previous life, to distance myself from Zhongyu, even though we lived together, when the driver came to pick us up from school, I would deliberately go to the Xia family's car and let Zhongyu go home alone. Over time, he understood and would rather take the bus than walk with me. In this new life, I didn't want Zhongyu to misunderstand again, so I took this opportunity to explain clearly, "I have nothing to do with Xian. I don't like him, we're not childhood sweethearts. And we're not even very good friends." He came to me because he heard from Lin Rua that I was looking for someone. Before I could finish, Zhongyu interrupted me. "Why are you telling me this? Don't flatter yourself. Do you think I care about the relationship between you two, Yuhi? Whether you fall in love, get engaged, or get married in the future, it has nothing to do with me. I really have no interest at all." He emphasized the last sentence very strongly. Actually, just now, I had an irrational thought, a little bit of joy. Did Zhongyu care when he saw me standing with another boy? But when he interrupted me and said those last words, it was like a bucket of cold water suddenly poured over me, soaking me completely. It made me wonder if there was any point in my pursuit and persistence until now. In my previous life, Zhongyu said he liked me, but in this life, had his feelings changed? I lowered my eyes dejectedly, forced a smile that seemed indifferent, nodded, waved at him, and stepped back. "You're right, I'm a bit annoying, but Mr. Zhong, you've rejected me 3 times. There's a limit to everything. Even I, Yuhi, can get hurt, you know." After saying that, I turned around and ran away with my hands behind my back. There were tears in the corners of my eyes, and I felt like crying, so I ran away quickly, as if escaping. I didn't turn around, so I naturally didn't see that behind me, Zhongyu was tightly gripping the test papers in his hand. His body tense. Could Yuhi really get hurt? He stared at the end of the corridor, his eyes dark. She was lying, he thought. He didn't believe it. Yuhi had always been heartless, and no one could get anything from her. Her pestering him now was just a whim. Once she got what she wanted, she would quickly get bored. But suddenly, an inexplicable sense of panic and restlessness surrounded him, making him uneasy. He suddenly remembered Yuhi's disappointed and sad eyes just now. Wouldn't she really give up on him? I took a taxi and went home. As soon as I entered the villa, the family driver came up and handed me a document bag. At the same time, my phone rang. It was Lin Rua. The moment the video call connected, her voice came through, loud and excited. "Xiaohe, did you get the document bag?" I've found the contact information you wanted, the business card, the professor's information, and a temporary university access pass are all in there. Thoughtful, right? She spoke without pausing. Coincidentally, I heard that this big shot was a bit of a dunce in school and often copied my mom's test papers during exams, so don't worry, as long as it's not illegal, he'll basically help with anything. She winked at me and gave me a meaningful look. I don't believe that when Zhongyu sees our gentle, beautiful, and lovely Xiaohe, who's going all out to think of him, he won't have any feelings at all. Lin Rua hung up the phone. I looked at my phone. Actually, I could have taken it to school tomorrow, but I don't know why. I suddenly really wanted to see him right away. Maybe it was because this phone call connected my previous life and this life. I still wanted to give myself another chance to make things clear in person. After a moment of hesitation, I stopped the driver. Can you take me back to school? I ran back to school, out of breath. With my school bag on my back, organizing test papers was a troublesome task, and there was also the work of transcribing scores and ranking students. At this time, Zhongyu should still be there, but when I climbed the stairs and stood outside the classroom again, I found it empty. The door was slightly ajar, and the lights were on, but where was he? I scratched my nose and was about to take out my phone to call him when a security guard on patrol walked over. When he saw me, he frowned and asked, "Are you looking for the boy who was just in this classroom? I heard you on the phone. He's already gone down to the playground." I didn't pay attention to any phone call. I only heard the words playground. I thanked the security guard and then turned around and ran downstairs. The night was dark. Only the street lights near the basketball hoops were on, casting a dim yellow light. Zhongyu's tall and slender figure stood up clearly. In front of him stood another girl. I had seen her in my previous life. The first investment in Zhongyu's startup came from her family. She was probably the one who pulled him out of the abyss. I had always thought that in this new life, I was making up for the kindness Zhongyu had shown me. Without the important technology, I would help him contact the professor. If there was a lack of investment, the Yu family could assist, but now it seemed that Zhongyu was right. It was me who was being presumptuous. Zhongyu didn't need me. In my previous life, without me by his side, he still lived a good life, even without the patent and the Yu family's funding. Step by step, although it was slower, he could still reach the top, in this new life. Perhaps the best choice was to let him be free and not interfere with each other. Standing in the corner, my mind was filled with these jumbled thoughts, until Zhongyu turned around. Our eyes met. I opened my mouth slightly and smiled as I called his name, Zhongyu. At that moment, his expression suddenly became flustered, and his face turned pale. I don't know why, but after understanding all this, I actually felt relieved. Those feelings of sadness and distress were all gone. I waved at Zhongyu and the girl beside him. In my memories of 2 lifetimes, she was a very gentle girl. She smiled, said a few more words to Zhongyu, then tugged at her school bag strap and turned to leave. On the contrary, Zhongyu strode towards me in a hurry. He reached out his hand and then put it down, as if he wanted to grab my wrist, but I took a step back to keep a distance from him. Then, in his somewhat dazed gaze, I handed him the document bag. "You probably need this. This professor has in-depth research on this technology. You can try to contact him." Zhongyu suddenly looked up. He held the document bag but didn't open it. He didn't ask me why I knew about the difficulties in his current startup. His voice was a bit hoarse. "Okay, I'll work hard, Yuhi. I won't let you down." When he looked up at me, his eyes were shining brightly, as if stars were rising in them. I nodded too. Of course, Zhongyu would succeed sooner or later, but the next moment, I felt sorry because I had chased the other person away because of me. I scratched the tip of my nose and pointed in the direction the girl had left. "I have nothing else. Do you want to chase after her?" The glimmer of hope that had just emerged faded away in an instant. Zhongyu seemed to stumble and then anxiously followed behind me. "Don't get me wrong," he explained awkwardly, his voice strained. "There's nothing between her and me. We just met recently because some time ago, I happened to." I interrupted him. "There's no need to explain. You don't have to report to me who you date or be friends with." Then, I said earnestly, "Zhongyu, I wish you success, happiness, and freedom. May all your wishes come true." After deciding to stop my presumptuous pursuit of Zhongyu, I had a sound sleep. It was the best sleep I'd had since being reborn, peaceful, reassuring, and content. When I woke up the next day and picked up my phone, I found a long string of messages from Zhongyu in our chat window, sent close to midnight. They were about the girl on the basketball court yesterday. It turned out that a few days ago, the girl's father had a sudden heart attack. Zhongyu happened to pass by and took him to the hospital. She came specifically to thank him and invited him to visit her home when he was free. I didn't know about this in my previous life. But thinking about it, it made sense, otherwise. Why would she invest in him without hesitation? There must have been elements of gratitude involved. Looking at this long explanation, I didn't know how to reply. After some thought, I put the phone down again. After all, I had more important things to do now. Study. In my previous life, my grades were mediocre, hovering around the middle of the class. I barely managed to get into an ordinary university, logically, as someone who had been reborn. I should have forgotten all my high school knowledge, but after the Yu family went bankrupt, in order to save money to pay off debts, I didn't just rely on others for help. I took on several jobs, working long, consecutive hours. Many large companies, upon hearing that I was from the Yu family, refused to interview me out of sheer curiosity. The highest paying part-time job I found was tutoring high school students. To improve my teaching level, I stayed up late watching teaching videos, painstakingly reviewing all the knowledge points I had missed, and even studied them more thoroughly and seriously. This was why, even though the college entrance examination was just a few months away after my rebirth, I could remain calm. When I arrived at the classroom, the previous monthly exam papers were already on my desk. Zhongyu must have spent time organizing them after school yesterday. The class rankings for each subject were written in the top right corner. Lin Rua turned around from the front row, took a look, and sighed. Xiaohe, your math still isn't good. Do you want me to give you the contact information of one of my mom's students? I heard he got a perfect score on the college entrance examination math. This paper was the one I took before being reborn. My level remained the same, so my grades were naturally average. I shook my head, about to decline, when Zhongyu, carrying a stack of books, happened to pass by the aisle. His gaze casually glanced at my paper, then he stopped. You drew the auxiliary line in the wrong place for this big question. There are two relatively simple ways to solve it, and they're less likely to lead to mistakes. As if afraid I would refuse, he coughed twice and glanced at me cautiously. Didn't your father ask me to help you with your studies? Zhongyu's offer really made me hesitate for a moment. At first, I suggested he tutor me to get closer to him, but now, I weighed my options. Should I study on my own or study with Zhongyu? Quickly, I made my decision. I had my own rhythm, and following my own study habits would probably yield better results. I looked up at Zhongyu and smiled, then took out the notebook he gave me last time from my bag and shook my head. I've read this. It's really detailed and well organized. I've learned a lot from it. I think this is enough. Did you quarrel with Zhongyu? Lin Rua peeked at me curiously. A few days ago, you were all about chasing him. Now that you have a legitimate chance to be together, why are you focusing on studying instead? Lin Rua was a dance major. Her family had already paved the way for her future, so she didn't have much pressure from exams. Maybe in the past, I would have thought the same way, but after experiencing my previous life, I knew that to prevent the Yu family from going bankrupt, it wasn't just about avoiding a certain scheme from our competitors or a failed investment. More importantly, I needed to make myself strong enough to truly take over the company when my father got old. This second chance at life was like another opportunity. I rented a 24-hour study room and went there every day after school to study and do exercises. Just like when I was desperate and had nothing after the bankruptcy. During this time, I reviewed past exam papers and completed most of the well-known exercise books on the market. As the exam approached, during the final sprint stage, I opened the notebook Zhongyu gave me. It was meticulously organized, categorizing various methods, common mistakes, and even prediction questions. Most of the content targeted my weak areas. As I went through it page by page, at the end, a strangely shaped photo fell out from the loose leaf pages. It must have been put in there by accident, and its edges were slightly yellowed. I bent down to pick it up. It was a group photo of our entire class taken at the beginning of high school. Because of traffic congestion, Zhongyu and I were late and stood at the back of the class. He cut out the other classmates, leaving only the two of us. As far as I could remember, this was the only photo we had together in all those years. On the back, he wrote our names in his usual neat and strong handwriting. Yuhi, Zhongyu, meet at the peak. After the college entrance examination results were announced, Zhongyu maintained his excellent performance, ranking first in the city. It was said that the admissions offices of Tsinghua University and Peking University had already started calling him. Meanwhile, my name also shocked the whole school. As a student who usually ranked in the middle of the class, I had an outstanding performance and ranked second in the school. This score was high enough for me to choose any top major at universities across the country. The school hung up banners, and TV stations wanted to interview me about my study tips. My father was so excited that he almost fainted. He even wanted to create a big poster and send it to every employee in the company. Fortunately, my mother and I reacted quickly and strongly opposed the idea, preventing him from carrying out this impractical plan over the 2 lifetimes. Some things had changed slightly. For example, Xian didn't perform well in this exam. In the previous life, before the college entrance examination, Zhongyu put the notes and some predicted questions he had compiled into my desk. I didn't want to look at them, and in the end, Xian took them. As a result, one of the big questions was exactly what Zhongyu had predicted, and Xian got more than 10 extra points, this time, due to those 10 points. His college application didn't meet the requirements, and he was dropped to the next batch. I heard his father was very dissatisfied and considering making him repeat a year of study. As for me, I had also decided on the university I wanted to attend. In my previous life, I studied art and design. Although I liked it, it was of little use for running the company. This time, I carefully selected a university with strong business and finance programs and went to Lin Rua's house to fill out the college application form with her. Just before submitting the form, my phone rang. A WeChat message popped up. It was from Zhongyu. We hadn't contacted each other for many days. There was only one line. Have you decided which university to go to? The setting sun shone through the window, casting a warm and pleasant glow. I typed a reply, yes. I'm going to University A in the north. What about you? He seemed to be typing and deleting his message for a long time. After much thought, he finally sent a message. Ah, what a coincidence. I'm also planning to apply to University A. Its science and engineering programs are among the best in the country, and I'm just planning to develop in that direction. The wind blew in, and outside were large white clouds. It was a beautiful day. Okay, I replied, let's work hard together. Zhongyu. After entering university, the company Zhongyu founded developed even faster than in the previous life. This time, more investment companies noticed him in advance and expressed their intention to invest and cooperate. He also moved his mother out of the Yu family's villa, bought a separate apartment, and hired a caregiver to take care of her. He was very busy, and we didn't see each other often, only occasionally running into each other in public classes, at grade-level ceremonies, or at alumni gatherings. Every time, he seemed to come prepared, bringing me gifts, such as newly launched products from his company or snacks and pastries his mother made at home. The most recent time was at the end of the summer vacation when we agreed to take a plane back to school together. When we reached the school gate, he scratched the tip of his nose and said to me, Xiaohe, my company is preparing for an IPO. I'll be doing a financial interview on TV in a few days. Would you watch it? His eyes were bright, suddenly reminding me of that night in high school when I handed him the document bag and the spark that lit up in his eyes at that moment. The interview was scheduled for a week later in the evening. My roommates and I were all in the dormitory. I originally planned to watch the live broadcast on my phone while lying on the bed, but one of my roommates suddenly stood up, held her laptop, and suggested, hey, do you know Zhongyu from the School of Mathematics? I went to a club activity and heard many people talking about him. He not only founded a company but is also preparing for an IPO. There's an interview with him tonight. Don't you want to watch? He's the most famous figure among our grade. This is a must-see. That's when I realized how famous Zhongyu had become among our classmates. The others also moved their stools closer. I was halfway up the ladder to my bed, but I had to come back down and join them. When we entered the live streaming room, the school's network malfunctioned. We spent a long time trying to fix it. By the time we finally got connected, it was already the intermission. The host, holding a small notebook, was chatting casually with Zhongyu. There aren't many people who start a business in university, right? I heard you were the top scorer in the city for the college entrance examination. With so much talent, there must be a lot of girls who like you at school. Are you single? One of my roommates commented while munching on sunflower seeds. The host really knows how to get to the point. So many people are curious about Zhongshan's private life. His fans line up from the School of Mathematics all the way to the auditorium. I wonder if he's not interested in girls at all. Could he be gay? On the screen, Zhongyu sat upright. He touched his fingers, thought for a moment, and then smiled. Well, I already have someone I like. I've liked her for a very long time. Suddenly, the dormitory fell silent, and everyone stared intently at the computer screen. The host was taken aback. Haven't you confessed to her? Zhongyu shook his head. Her world seems so far away from mine. She comes from a top-notch family, is beautiful, and popular. I always felt I wasn't good enough for her. I didn't think she could like me either. He smiled, but for a while, She was actually very proactive towards me, but at that time, I was too insecure. I was always afraid it was just a fleeting moment, that she was just having a whim. I thought that only when I became excellent and successful enough could I stand beside her one day. The host nodded and pressed on. What about now? You're already very successful. Zhongyu lowered his head, deep in thought. I don't know, he said softly. I want to call her. Is that okay? Outside the dormitory, the cicadas chirped. Just like the summer after the college entrance examination when he asked me which university I was going to apply to. At that moment, my phone rang. In an instant, everyone in the dormitory turned to look at me. I answered the phone, and Zhongyu's voice came through. Xiaohe, did you watch my interview today? I hummed an affirmation. He paused for a moment, and his voice became hoarse. Then you must have heard what I said just now. Yuhi, would you still accept me? I tapped the table with my fingers. It was a beautiful day, I said. Of course, I've been waiting for you, Zhongyu. I took over the family company, having avoided the investment traps from my previous life. This time, the U group developed very smoothly. I recruited several recent graduates from the university and started training my own confidants and successors. Among them was a girl who was hard-working and dedicated. However, she was always arguing with her boyfriend, causing various relationship problems. When she came to organize my documents, she often asked me, President Yu, why do you and President Zhong have such a good relationship? Don't people who grow up together ever have cold wars? The villa was silent. I had no choice but to give her a rambling account of our high school days. The girl sat on a small stool, resting her chin in her hand, listening intently. She frowned and commented, Sister Yu, you have such a good temper. If my boyfriend said he didn't care who I was with, I'd definitely slap him twice. I laughed. Zhongyu has already eaten his words himself. She looked at me again. So when did you change your mind? When did I change my mind? I knew Zhongyu well, so I was never disappointed or resentful towards him. If I had to pick a turning point, perhaps it was the day we filled out our college application forms and he said he was also going to University A. In the previous life,